Oh no, Brandon! Hi, Brandon! Hi, Brandon!
Right,
what a surprise!
You know, I just felt like I should surprise the audience on our first new episode.
Love it.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Fake Nerd Podcast, or should I say welcome to the Fake Nerd Podcast. As you can see from the title, this is number 1. In true comic book fashion, we have rebooted.
Ooh.
In fact, we'll actually talk about a comic book reboot happening this coming year, a couple months. Whatever. It's a little sizzle. Yes, we are starting a new format. This is a new system. It's a new format, and will likely be the thing going forward. But just to kind of give you guys a recap, look, it's on social media. It's on last week's. If you didn't know, we're not going to be reviewing today Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. We are just going to be doing some news, some with the roundup. But let's get right into it. New episode. I'm Brandon T. McClure. With me this week, as always, is Sparks Witty.
Hi, welcome to episode 336.
It's 1.
No, it's 336.
I know, it's 1, and then next week is 337. We agreed on this.
No, I said 1 can be in parentheses, episode 336.
And Ryan Eliopoulos.
Hello, welcome to the legacy numbering, where we'll just like the other companies that we'll forget in a couple weeks.
Exactly.
We got Danger,
That's us.
Dangers. Congrats on the brand new show. That's never been seen before.
Thank you, Danger Dan. Thanks for being here, bright and early. Early for us, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the reasons why we wanted to do this. We are. This will probably be the time that you see us from now on. But, guys, how are you? New week, new show. How we feeling?
Feeling great. I got a coffee. Oh, excuse me. Feeling good. I am tired, but it's so nice to have the whole day ahead of me and still get to spend time with my friends. It's a lovely thing we're doing.
Yes.
But we have links in the description, as always. You know, I'm being a little cheeky. If you hadn't know, it's not our first show ever. This is, in fact, our 336 show. We've been doing this for 7 years.
I have to admit, I'm kind of surprised you didn't make a joke about, like, because we're starting a new number 1 and Ben isn't here, that, like, we had to start a new show because we got rid of him or something.
I didn't even think about that.
I haven't even mentioned Ben.
I guess Ben Magnet is not here. Sorry, being part of the intro was unexpected.
Right.
No, yeah.
Ben is not with us for the change here because, honestly, one of the reasons we decided to do it right at this moment, it was going to be a little bit later, but not by much, is because Ben had big plans this weekend. And we were like, you know what, Ben? Don't worry about it. We'll just take things in this direction so he can be less stressed and do the things he wants to do. So we're glad he's having a good time.
100%.
Couldn't put it better myself, Sparks. So let's get into some links. Not some weeks, some links.
That's later.
My CBR articles are published as always. There's a couple that popped up this week. I believe a Pixar one and a where I did like the top Pixar films. There's a lot, man. Pixar like kills it. Like there's a lot of like 90% on Rotten Tomatoes for Pixar.
It's true. I don't know if you just heard the assault happening in my room.
Sorry, Blink was literally just piling on Emma.
Audio listeners, if you heard some raucous, that was some cat violence. Sorry, Brandon. Talk about Pixar.
It's like, why? Why right now? My bad.
And then what was the other one that got published this week? You know what? It's fine. It's there. You can find the links. They're in the description. Dangers in the chat. R.I.P. Ben. I'm sad he didn't survive the reboot.
Yeah, he's gonna get recasted with a younger, sexier version.
Can't all come out the other side of the Flashpoint unchanged.
That's true. It's actually next week. George Clooney is gonna be on the podcast. Spoilers for The Flash. If you haven't seen that yet,
that still might be the funniest thing to happen in cinema this year.
Yeah, I still think about that. I'm like, what were they doing?
If I weren't so anti like a lot of the AI stuff, I would do one of those fake faces of George Clooney that has been.
It's me, George Clooney.
Just talking out of George Clooney.
To keep the Snyderverse alive, you have to see The Flash.
And then I'll say the next link I'll say is my I put this up yesterday on kaijuramenmedia.com. My review of Skull Island Season 1, the animated show set in the MonsterVerse that is currently on Netflix. I really enjoyed that show. I talked about it a couple weeks ago with you guys. I didn't say something that I didn't just found out while writing this review. It's written by the guy who wrote Love and Monsters.
Oh yeah, that's a
good
great
movie.
That is a good movie.
So, I was like, oh shit, that's wild. And he wrote the whole series.
That's cool.
Okay. But yeah, so that's that's linked below. I've never written a review before, so be kind. I tried to be as detailed and in depth as I possibly could. Very light spoilers, so if you want to know nothing, probably don't read the review. But if you're okay with a couple of things, then go for it. In the chat.
I tried to pull it up, but I'm not logged into Google, so won't let me.
Looking forward to seeing Don Cheadle co-hosting next week. Yes, that's cute.
That's very cute.
Alright, so yeah, I worked really hard on that review. It's about 3 pages long, but I really like that show, and I wanted to review it for the thing. So check it out.
That's awesome.
Hell yeah, dude.
DN Dark number 34, episode 34. Danger Dangers is in the comments right now. That is his show and our co-host Ben's show. If you've heard us, I'm sure you've heard us. No, you haven't. This is the first episode. So no, you haven't heard us. Hey guys, DN Dark is a good show.
It's a comedy horror D&D podcast by someone in the chat and our host Ben. It's wonderful. If you love D&D, if you like Universal Monsters, if you love really funny, inventive D&D stuff with something that's not usually D&D related, like vampires and ghouls and invisible men. It's just Frankensteins. It's a damn good time. This was a wonderful episode too.
Yeah, it was. This was a really good episode.
As always.
Hats off to you, Dan.
Cool. Ben's not here, so he can't really say anything. But yeah, good episode.
He can't spoil this episode.
I can't. Real quickly, I'm reading this in order, but I actually put this in the wrong order. We're gonna be talking about some strikes this week. I speak for us all. We support SAG, AFTRA, and the WJ in their strike. But the links where you can find information, where you can support, those are below. I think there's 3 now. So if you can support them, or if you just want to learn why they're striking, and you haven't been listening to us for the past couple of weeks, then please click on those links, check it out. And then, guys, Fake News Watch. It's the 3 of us. It's the 3 of us did 2 Fake News Watches that are in the description below, which is Strange New Worlds episode 4, Among the Lotus Eaters.
Yeah.
And which was a pretty fun episode, which I didn't really care for it. But hey, it was fun recording with you guys.
Always.
Secret Invasion episodes 2 and 3.
Yes, that's correct. Man, what a week.
I forgot that was that week. Yeah.
So we'll be back for 4 and 5 for Secret Invasion.
Yep.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for that.
Maybe, who knows? Maybe even just 4, 5, and 6. We'll see how the rest of this season plays out.
I'm not watching it weekly, so is it that bad?
No, it's not that it's that bad, but it's not appointment programming.
Yep. Look, the episode 4 was a half hour, and I'm like
week,
and I'm like, is episode 5 a half hour? Because I feel like we're really 6 episodes already didn't feel like enough landscape to do this. Right.
I'll tell you what, I'm really starting to feel Falcon and Winter Soldier vibes. Like with the way the ending is going, I'm just like, man, you had some good stuff at the beginning, but just like that show, it's just like, but we'll see. I would love to be wrong.
Yeah. Well, stay tuned for our next discussion on that one. See where that goes. My Conver-Station episode with Rachel Strange from the Narrative Labyrinth podcast, that is up in the description below. I talked about it a little bit last week. Great conversation. I really enjoyed doing that. Next week, speaking of D&D Dark, the next episode coming this week will be with the entire cast of D&D Dark.
Ooh, wow, very exciting.
Very kind of my big spoiler for the season is that I attempted to do something I never did before, which is interview 7 people at one time.
How'd that go?
Oh,
We'll find out.
you'll find out.
I
Only
had
Dan
to,
talks.
I had to resist for a while because I knew this happened and I knew where it was. Like I had access to it on the YouTube, and I'm like, don't watch it. Just don't ruin it for yourself.
And not that, look, we jest, and I like to make fun of myself, but I do actually think it was a good conversation. I'd never done it before. I'd never interviewed that many people at one time. You know, I like to think I'm very good at a one-to-one. Like if I got you, I'm a good interviewer. But 7 people was tough. I'm not gonna lie, but I do think it actually turned out okay.
It's like a Comic-Con.
Yeah, so I'm excited for everyone to hear that.
I'm putting it out there just because he's here. You should probably get Just Danger Dan for next season to talk about his clear fandom for the monsters, because I've taken a look at his YouTube channel where he's done essay stuff before talking about the monsters, so that would be a worthwhile conversation.
Yeah, I think I might. Dan, actually, in the comments, very exciting. It was a very fun interview, chaotic as we always are, but great experience. I appreciate that, sir. I didn't have to pay him to say that. So.
It's nice.
All right, but yeah, so stay tuned for that episode. Cinephiles have been updated with our with last week's episode discussion of Mission Impossible 5 and 6, so Fallout, so Rogue Nation and Fallout.
Can't fight the friction.
Really fun discussion as always. Love the Mission Impossible films. Check that out if you haven't already.
Let me tell y'all, redoing all these Mission Impossible movies and seeing the newest one, I think Mission Impossible Fallout's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, it's a really good
I feel like that movie, when I think of like action movies, I'm like, man, Mission Impossible and John Wick, like they're carrying like the American action franchise like on there. Like Fast and Furious is good, but like the quality is really with like Wick and Mission Impossible. I'm like, man, those guys, they really got it. Thank you.
Well, like the Fast franchise has been like, they were doing innovation and then they just kind of have been continuing to go at a pace since 7.
Yeah.
And Mission Impossible and John Wick are more about like finding new things.
Actually innovating. Yeah.
I will say there are 3 part 1s to sizzle our Dead Reckoning review, which is coming. We just don't know when we're going to record it yet, but it will happen. Of course it will happen. We did the first 6.
Yeah. That would be a bummer.
Right?
It'd just be weird.
Of the 3 part 1s, Dead Reckoning is my favorite.
More than Spider-Verse?
Not by much, but yeah.
That's fair. Good movies. Two great movies.
Great movies. That's why it's tough, but
Yeah.
like I'm pretty confident that I really liked Dead Reckoning.
Yeah.
So yeah, stay tuned for that review. Check out the 5 and 6 review. Check out 1 through 4. We've done them all now. Specifically just to get Ben interested in going to see Dead Reckoning, so that was exciting.
Whoop whoop.
Expert Arcade Pause Mini Quarterly 2, right? This is your second
Yes.
quarterly?
Q2.
Q2 2023.
That's linked below. Why don't you talk about it real quick?
Yeah, man. We just talk about the last 3 months of games that we've been playing, the last 3 months of news. We all pick like a news segment we talk about. We look at the future of the next 3 months of what's coming out. Just another great time.
Yeah, it's a good conversation. There's a lot of good games on the table right now and good games coming. So, I'm happy to be a part of so much conversation. It was also nice to like, we don't usually get to spotlight as much of the indie stuff coming down the road, but because Ryan and I had done the demo stuff, we got to talk a little bit more about why those demos were so solid.
Hell yeah.
Cool. So yeah, those are linked below where they are available. They are also in audio, so video and audio formats. So make sure you're checking them out wherever you can. So that's all the links in the description. Please check them out. What who wants to go? Well, I guess we just decided it was either myself or Sparks. So Sparks, do you want to go first?
For the weekly roundup, if this is your first episode, we talk about our weeks before we talk about our main news subject. So if we have anything we want to discuss that we did this week, let's talk about it.
Forgot the trope of us speaking in the first episode already.
Consistency.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I really don't have anything to spotlight that I want to spend some time talking about. I will highlight, because Ben's not here, that I do think that the D and Dark episode was really solid. That's something I engaged with this week, and I continue to really like the show. I think that Danger Dan, not to over compliment while he's here, but like the way he's handled this, like splitting the characters off, which has been this recent arc, both this episode, the previous episode, has been really cool, and like, kind of like the fun episode, and then the like, I'm gonna think about character stuff this episode, and I think they're all doing a great job over
The
there.
editing specifically too, like when they're all split up and hearing like little drops when you're dropping between characters, like it's incredibly well produced. Like
Yeah.
oh yeah.
That's all I'll highlight.
All right. I agree with all of that, actually. So, so I'll talk about my week. I've only got one thing I want to spotlight, which is...
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? I do want to mention one other thing. You and I played a board game together.
Which one are you going to talk about?
The Mountains of Madness.
Oh, Taco Bell. We played Taco Bell.
we
Sounds less exciting than the H.P. Lovecraft horror game, to be honest.
Yeah, so there's this board game called Mountains of Madness that was actually a ton of fun to play. It is based off the book. And the whole gimmick is that so you have to scale the mountain and then escape, but you have to come off the mountain with more relics that you've discovered than your team has acquired injuries. Otherwise, even if you escape, you lose.
Okay.
And so it's not just take a straight path up the mountain. You have to kind of make decisions about, we should go down here. But every time you unlock a new area, you have to overcome challenges.
Of course.
By communicating with each other what equipment you have and making sure you put in the right equipment. You have 30 seconds to do that. And during that 30 seconds, all the players who have madness cards that tell them things that make it hard for them to communicate, which might be like, you don't face the table until you play your cards.
I love that.
Or you only respond in yes or no.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff is all happening, and you have no idea what other people's madnesses are, so you can't account for them. And you have those 30 seconds, you have to figure it out, and then you just gotta put your equipment in and hope you pass the challenges.
I'm into it. I love madness.
It's a really good way of making it feel like people at the table are going crazy and you can't understand why, and it gets frustrating. And then like when the rules of the game say like once the 30 seconds are over, you have to pretend like none of that happened.
Man,
you have to pretend like you have no clue what they're talking about if your behavior is weird.
That sounds dope, dude. Like right. The madness idea of like you cannot perceive the unperceivable, right. And like what does that do to you in like a board game form is super super exciting to me thinking about that. So I'm glad that we own it.
Yeah, there's one I had where right before you play your cards, there's something under the table. You have to double check if it's there to attack you, and so you like freak everyone out and then put your cards in. Nobody knows what you're doing.
That's cute. I like that.
I had one where I could only hold one card at a time, and they didn't clock what my madness was for like a long time. We could kind of figure out everyone else's, but I was just doing this like.
So everyone's holding their hand of cards, and Brandon's having to like just pick them up one at a time to look at what he has.
They're like, "What's your madness?" And I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And then every turn just
yeah,
that's awesome.
It's really cool. It's a solid game.
Sounds wonderful.
All right, go ahead, Brandon.
I agree. So the Taco Bell game was a lot of fun too. I preferred that game. I'll be honest.
Sure.
Mountains of Madness was quite frustrating. So I only got one thing I want to highlight because I mean I did a few other things. I'm not going to talk about Ruby Gillman. Sorry for that movie.
You saw Ruby Gillman.
Zara really wanted to go.
Gotcha. You're the two people who saw it.
She.
So it's not an elemental situation. I shouldn't be rushing out to the theater to see it. That is unfortunate. That is unfortunate for the team that worked very hard on a movie that just doesn't seem like it's very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. The character designs are so unpleasant. Not in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. But I do want to highlight something else I did this week, which was actually I started this weekend, which is Digimon Adventure 2020. I had talked before about Digimon Adventure 2020 in the sense that since its release, Toei has been handling its American release very poorly. And it was first dumped on Microsoft, a Microsoft store to be purchased digitally, which is a historically terrible quote-unquote streaming service, VOD service that just does not work. And then with no trailer and no fanfare and no announcement, they dropped it on Hulu. All dubbed, by the way. I'm talking about the dub. The dub release has just been plagued. Our friend Chris Swindle is in it. He plays Tentomon.
That dude's working.
Yeah, he is. Question, because I actually never checked on this. Was the subversion available on Hulu before this?
Yes, because I've been debating just watching the sub for a long time.
Understood. Got you.
I wanted to wait for the dub because that's just how I've always consumed Digimon. So I was like,
no, I respect that, and also like our friend is on it, so I would want to watch that version too.
Yeah. Very good Tentomon, by the way. Like, actually very good.
That's awesome. Good for him.
The new voices are tough to kind of to kind of, if you're familiar with Digimon, if you're familiar with the original series, and you have those voices ingrained, it's difficult to kind of get used to these new voices. But I do think everyone is very good. The voice acting is much better than that original show. I mean, look, that show was.
That was the Fox. That was
Wait,
Fox. Box
hey, Edamon. I think Edamon's a pretty good voice actor, if you ask me.
Right, but like most of the Digimon are like talking real fast, getting equipped out of there.
I just like the Elvis monkey, man.
That's Fox Box era, like
ooh, Fox Box.
It's the One Piece version of that at the same time was so bad that they had to go back and completely redo it. Like
more like No Piece.
It doesn't hold up the best of anime dubs, unfortunately.
There's
There's also a lot of mistranslation in that show, unfortunately.
It got better as like Adventure 2 was going, but
real quick, sorry about the puppy barking downstairs. If you hear that, sorry.
So yes, so I really like it. It's actually really excellent. I find the format of this new show very interesting in the sense that it is almost a completely new thing while also being a reboot where you can see like elements. Like for example, I don't know how much of Digimon you guys personally know, but if you recall, the original show starts with them at a summer camp and then they get whisked off to the digital world.
Isekai.
Yeah.
We get set up before we get to that summer camp, and then episode 3 we're in the summer camp, and then that's just it. Get to the digital world. I'm like, what a wild way to throw me for a loop, because I'm like, oh, this is how our 6 Digidestins are going to come together. No.
Sure.
It's a really cool show that's incorporating a lot of really excellent elements of the franchise that had come after Adventure 1, especially when it comes to Mega Digivolutions or Omnimon, for example. Really cool show. I really like it. It's a solid just anime and reboot of Digimon Adventure. I really like it, and I'm gonna watch all 67 of those damn episodes.
I'm trying. I don't remember Digimon Tamers. Digimon. It's this one. This is the best one.
Tamers? Oh, yeah, Tamers is incredible.
Yeah, I think about that real world stuff like all the time. I'm like, I just want that. I want that. I love Digimon, but like that is like, I just want that because it's like I felt like I was so young and it was so dark, and I'm like, whoa, what's happening in the real world? It was awesome.
Yeah, Tamers is the best Digimon show. I went through it a little while ago, but Adventure 2020. Look, it's that original Digimon series is obviously very close to my heart. So, seeing this reboot and having all these other Digimon shows that come after influencing it actively is really cool.
Does it feel like modernized and stuff? Because like I was always more of a, even though I played all the Pokemon games, I didn't care about the anime. Like I cared about the Digimon shows. Like I watched almost all the ones that were available to me when I was young. So like, does it feel like new and modernized? Like does it feel like kind of like an old show? You know what I mean? Like
it's like if they took the premise of that old show and put a new anime over it.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff that's being influenced by like just modern anime aesthetics and things like that.
Okay.
It is a completely new entity.
Okay.
Almost.
Yeah. That's kind of what I'm
It's
asking.
an
Yeah.
entirety.
Okay. Cool. I might check it out because I am interested.
And I mean, there's like, if you watch that original show, you'll see like, oh, this is that. Oh, this is that. Oh, here's where we're going. Here's where I think we're going with this. And you can kind of, and it kind of plays with you. But every Digivolution from the in training to the champions that I've seen so far has made me sob because I'm like, yeah, Gabumon, you Digivolve to Garurumon.
Garurumon.
They have like, because like the Digivolutions are like set up to be like the end of an emotional connection between like you get like the Digidestin and the Digimon and they're and they meet, but they don't have a connection.
Yeah.
But that connection allows them to Digivolve, and I'm like, oh, that's cool.
I love that. Yeah.
Anyway, good stuff. I really like the show. Highly recommend if you watch Digimon. I'll probably talk about it maybe one or twice more in the next couple of weeks. But yeah.
Sure.
Lovely.
Right.
All right,
That's my week,
I
though.
lied. There's one thing I do want to talk about, just very, very briefly. And we've talked about it in the past before, but like it's officially out now. And I played like in 2 hours of it, and it's Exo Primal. It is on Xbox Game Pass. Exo Primal is the 5v5 Overwatch / Left 4 Dead with dinosaurs game that I've been talking about. Also, Sparks played it a little bit when the beta came out. That game is really, really fun. It's very simple. There's not a lot to it, but man, I don't know if there's a better like carrot on the stick type of game in terms of the way it's made, because there's like 5 waves of you're moving through the city, you're fighting dinosaurs, and then in an alternate dimension another team is also doing that, because you are on a reality TV show made by this murderous AI trying to appease some overlord that we don't know about yet. It's really awesome. It's like Running Man with dinosaurs. It's really great. Very Starship Troopers-esque. Every time you are competing with the enemy team and you do better than them, the AI guy will tell you, you are doing better than the enemy team. And if you are losing, it's like, you are slower than the enemy team. And every single time that happens, you either get like a fist bump or you're like, oh yeah? Watch this! And it makes you want to be a better gamer. The gameplay loop, again, like there's not a lot to do in the game right now. It is like kind of like one map that kind of rotates a little bit, but the core gameplay is so effing fun, y'all. And the literally direct 1-to-1 of Overwatch characters who are now these mechs that you could be. Like, we could all jump into it and find a character that we relate to and easily can play. It is just so insanely fun and like does not take itself seriously. And there's like literally a giant Tron guy like yelling at you how bad you suck. It's awesome. It's a really unique type of game. And I could see like in a year or two from now, when it has a bunch of content, it is the game we go to a lot for. But right now, it is kind of bare bones. But for me, on Xbox Game Pass, so I don't have to pay $70 for it, incredible stuff. Love it. Exo Primal, baby.
Do you know if that has crossplay?
It doesn't.
Yeah.
It only has PlayStation, because it's an old game too, PS4, PS5, so only PlayStation and only Xbox PC can play.
Yeah, because I was just curious because like Brandon could play with us on Xbox, but
Yeah.
Ben can't.
Ben can't, no.
Yeah.
It is a old gen game though, so yeah, it is on PS4, Xbox One, as well as the new systems and on PC. It's just it is the console specific, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah.
That's
Gotcha.
the bummer. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's got a lot of style to it. I really like it.
Cool. I really want to play that one.
Hell yeah.
Right. Shall we go into our bread and butter then?
100%.
Going in. Let's see if you're going to be in this one, Brandon. Yeah! And this is why this is the first episode. This is a test episode. There you go. Welcome to Bread and Butter.
Trial runs.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get right into it. We got quite a bit to cover because this was a hell of a week. Sad news up top.
Oh.
Manny Koto, showrunner, who was a producer at first, but became the showrunner for Star Trek Enterprise Season 4, which is largely considered to be the best season. He's a producer and a writer on 24. I believe he was the showrunner for 24 in the later seasons and the 24 reboot they did. And Dexter as well.
Ooh, I love Dexter.
He passed away at the age of 62 after a 13-month battle with pancreatic cancer.
Damn.
Yeah, that sucks.
Cancer's a bitch, man. That sucks. Rest in peace.
Obviously, the Star Trek community knows him from Star Trek Enterprise. That 4th season of Enterprise is incredible. Like, it's one of the best Star Trek seasons ever. So that sucks.
Yeah.
Andy Fulmer, who is a producer on The Emperor's New Groove, also an animator on Who Framed Roger Rabbit. He was an animator on a lot of animated films, including Little Mermaid,
Yes.
for Disney. And he is the founder of Wynn Guitars.
Ooh.
W-Y-N.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing.
Apparently quit animation because he was a musician also, so he went to do this.
Wow.
That is such a cool trajectory of, I animated Disney movies and now I own a guitar company. That's really dope. That's really cool.
He built the guitars.
That's insane. What a talented individual.
He passed away this week at the age of 73, once again due to cancer.
Damn. Rest in peace, man.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah. I really loved his story after I never really heard of him, but after I read a story about how he was an animator, did all these high-profile animated films, great animated films, plus Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And then doing that, I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah, dude. tangentially related, like Who Framed Roger Rabbit is like one of the most incredible movies ever made, just in terms of the tech that it came out in the 80s. Watch the behind the scenes of how that movie is made. Like it is mind blowing. The amount of effort and like the ways that they did things to make physical things into like animated. It's like, man, they just really don't try this hard anymore.
The movie was so difficult to make today.
Yeah, bring it back. Do it again.
All right. Guys, it happened. SAG-AFTRA went on strike.
Woo! No more movies!
Yeah, that is... real quickly, before we kind of talk about the strike, obviously the WGA has been striking for a long time. 72 days, I believe, is the current count.
Sure.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And it's been kind of like, what are the DGA gonna do? Well, they took a deal.
Mm-hmm.
What's SAG gonna do? So, they offered the extension. We talked about it. They offered an extension to July 12th, and that extension was coming up, and we hadn't heard anything about a deal. So, real quickly, I'm gonna talk about how Bob Iger, David Zaslav, and Ted Sarandos, with a couple of other producers, CEOs, held a meeting to call the government to ask for government mediation to kind of help them find a deal. So like a person in the middle.
Man, what a bunch of cowards.
Right. Well, their excuse was the government won't let Hollywood get shut down. It's one of the biggest industries in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Sure.
That was the
idea.
And I was kind of stunned when they were talking like federal mediator, because I'm like, there's no way you bring in the government and they don't look at you with a side eye of like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah, 100%.
It's like that bit in Captain America: Civil War where it's like, if only we could find the Hulk right now, and then Natasha's like, do you really think he'd be on our side?
Yeah. Shot him into space.
It's like, wait, do you think?
Yeah.
Also, real quick, Danger Dangerous brought up Who Framed Roger Rabbit is his favorite movie of all time.
It's a damn good one.
Damn good movie.
Ooh.
Yeah. Whatever more you have to say, let's go ahead and say it.
So SAG agreed to this mediator, but also stated when they did, quote, "We are not confident that the employers have any intention of bargaining toward an agreement."
Right.
So this also comes after Fran, the president, one of the presidents of SAG, has been, Fran Drescher, has been kind of on the side of the AMPTP, or it looked like she was confident that a deal would be made, and people kind of got worried about that.
Yes.
And then she started spitting this kind of stuff. What I just said here. Anyway, so when this federal mediator news came about, there was also a report from Deadline that said one anonymous member of the AMPTP said that the plan is to wait the writers out, the WGA out, until they run out of money and lose their homes.
Right.
And then they're forced to make a deal.
So this
with
got
us.
released as a Deadline, I think Deadline article, and then later they were like, "Whoa, none of us okayed that. None of us said
supposed
that.
to happen.
Whoa." And so like, but there is an amount of that no one might have said this was necessarily the intention or the plan, but they wanted this out there to scare people.
Oh yeah,
Like that's the most important thing.
it was a leak.
Every single step of how the studios have handled this has just been like, you are drastically wrong about how you think this is gonna go.
Yeah, and like, no CEO is good. Like Bob Iger, who's the Disney guy. Like of all the terrible CEOs, like I'm not gonna say he's the best of them, but he definitely had like. He understands.
We'll talk about that.
Sure.
Yeah, because I know Bob Iger's later in our news cycle, because we got to talk about his response to the actors striking. Because I definitely want to get into that.
So on Thursday, the contract was up, and by Friday, SAG-AFTRA had gone on strike.
Yes, I did want to point out on the Fran Drescher thing that like a lot of people were criticizing her in the lead up to this because there wasn't a lot of like standing strong talk from her. Or
she was like in Italy hanging out with Kardashians.
Even before that, like she wasn't getting out front and saying like, oh yeah, we'll stand. Like she was being supportive of the writers, but not in a way where she wasn't out there championing solidarity with the writers during their strike. And everyone is like, her speech is very good. Everyone is celebrating Fran Drescher like getting up in front and saying we need what
it took until getting here for her to do that.
But notably, she does it 2 days before the strike happens. And it does seem like just the writing was on the wall for the strike to happen, so she wanted to get on the right side of it.
Yeah, of course.
Just to offer criticism on that.
I think there's a sense that, even Sean Astin, who was part of the committee that was trying to make the deal, was saying that she was optimistic that a deal could be made, that they were that the AMPTP was negotiating in good faith, and that's what pissed her off, that she found out she was wrong.
Right, and that's fair and everything. I'm looking back to about like 3 or 4 weeks ago when she was stopped on the picket lines with the writers, and she didn't give a strong message of solidarity as a representative of SAG-AFTRA, and everyone was like, well, that kind of sucked.
Yeah.
That, like, because this is coming for you too. And it was very much like, regardless of that, I think, like, you're right, like, she realized they weren't negotiating in good faith with the actors either, but she was very much in a position of, it appeared, with what she said at the picket line, of, well, we're probably going to get ours, so we're not too worried.
Yeah.
Just like the directors.
Point. All right, well, SAG-AFTRA is now on strike. This is the first time in 60 years that the writers and the actors have been on strike together. It's been quite a while since this happened. Basically, I tried to kind of look for what exactly the demands were, like the writers put out, like the WGA put out, but SAG has not put out the contract they were asking for. The WGA has. But from what we can gather from interviews and things like that, it's largely the same stuff. Streaming residuals, healthcare pensions, and AI protections.
I got a fun fact, and I just had to look it up to make sure. Even though I told you this, I just want to double check it.
Yeah.
Do you know who the leader of SAG was during the last time this happened, of the strike?
I do, but yes, you should say
it's Ronald Reagan. And I love that Ronald Reagan's the guy like, hey guys, we should have everyone support each other and get paid, and then he becomes president and is the worst person ever. I think it's really funny.
It's really, because he was such a union buster. He famously didn't like unions when he was president.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just like, man, people grow up and change. It sucks.
Real quick, highlighting Danger's comment. Realistically, it'll be a war of attrition. With nothing coming out, the stocks are eventually going to tank. It's just a matter of whether that happens before or after the writers and actors starve.
Yeah.
We know right now, just because of good reporting, that the writers at least are prepared to go into next year. As far as like the way that they're supporting each other through their entertainment fund and everything, and that they're getting a lot.
And there's like companies who are like helping like pay for rent and for food. Like there's a lot of like groundswell support.
Yeah.
So like lots of people are suffering, but they're all helping each other.
I just want to quickly, like as Brian and Sparks have said, absolutely. Those links are down below in the description. So if you are one of those people who want to help, just go check out the description. They are there.
Right. Yeah. So I think and the actors too are going to have a lot of support, especially. I know there are some who are at like the upper chain of celebrity in the SAG-AFTRA who are saying they're going to put money in to be supporting all those under them who don't make as much in the guild to make sure that the strike moves forward, because they are all in solidarity about
it's been awesome seeing. I mean, it's just on Twitter, but how many celebrities are like, hell yeah, like I'm rich, but I was once not rich, and I understand what it's like to be a working actor. So like seeing Ron Perlman and like Sean Gunn and all these people come out and going like, yeah, like fuck all these rich people. I'm like, hell yeah,
right?
Because they know that 87% of SAG members don't qualify for health insurance.
I didn't know this until, again, all the stuff like you have to make almost $30,000 a year to qualify for health insurance. I'm like, if you don't work, that sucks. Like it's rough.
Yeah.
It's rough.
There's a lot of clear problems coming out. About the situation and exactly why these two groups are striking as adamantly as they are. It also really sucks just to highlight that it's very clear now why the contract was pushed back. The contract was not pushed back for negotiation to the middle of this month because they thought that they would get a good deal with the actors. It was pushed back so that they could get all their preemptive marketing for the movies for the next few months done, because they wouldn't be able to access the actors. So they had things like Jamie Lee Curtis and Owen Wilson going to Disneyland to promote Haunted Mansion, recorded earlier this month.
Oh, yeah.
So that they could put it out this week. Because they wouldn't be able to get them to do it at the proper time. So that seems to be the main reason the studios push back, is to get all their promotional stuff banked so they could release it without the actors being present.
Scummy.
You guys. So okay, I'm gonna bring this up because you brought up Haunted Mansion. I was gonna kind of wait to find a different spot, but I really one of the unintentionally funniest things to come out of the strike is the fact that Disney, for their Haunted Mansion red carpet premiere, had to have their underpaid face characters they had around at the time.
Mm-hmm.
That was a really seeing
It's
like
them and the director, and
seeing
that's it.
Cruella de Vil or whatever like on the red carpet, like, wow, this is really funny.
The other thing about it is that for that premiere, a lot of I talked with Ryan about this. A lot of YouTubers and TikTokers, those kinds of influencers were invited, and no one is really going to get this message from us, but I'm putting it out there anyway because we've seen people talking about inside of the Screen Actors Guild who are saying, hey, we really should put out a big message video so that YouTubers and TikTokers and all that who want to be in the industry know that going and doing this is scabbing.
Yeah.
And they will not be considered for being part of the union in the future if they attend things like this.
And what sucks is the studios know that there are young people
who don't know better,
who don't
and
know
they're going to
better,
take advantage of
and they're
them.
like, hey, how about you 50 influencers come be part of this red carpet? And like, don't worry, there's no celebrities here. You are the celebrities. I'm like, they just don't know any better. Like, it's just like that's also sad. Being taken advantage of.
You're gonna watch a lot of people who thought that they could be the launchpad to a career in acting. Not that all of them deserve it, but
yes.
Who would think that it could be that path? It's the door's gonna get shut in their face now because of it.
Scummy.
Luckily, there's a lot of influencers who probably caught wise, but there will be a lot more who didn't. I'm kind of thinking about what's that kid, Soups or something? When he promoted what was that movie? Sound of America, Sound of Freedom.
God, Sound of Freedom. Yeah.
See,
Sound of Freedom. Like when he was like, "Hey, that movie's great," and everyone's kind of like, "Hang on."
see, that's
Soups. Did you fall for the QAnon?
yeah, that's the unfortunate thing where that kid's like 20 years old and he saw like, oh man, it is bad to like be taken hostage. That is bad, but also, did you catch any of the other things they were talking about, kid?
I'd feel bad, but from all accounts, he seems like a right shit. So
No, yeah, I you know, when you're young, I try to give you benefit of the doubt because I remember just not knowing any better. Like, yeah, you gotta learn.
yeah.
All right. So what does this mean? Basically, what does this mean? The SAG-AFTRA strike. Basically, actors cannot film any movie or TV shows. However, they can still film soap operas. And oh man, that'd be wild having famous actors on soap operas again. And obviously commercials; those are non-union work.
Oh, sure.
They cannot take part in any press junket or film premiere.
Right.
So Comic-Con is out.
Oppenheimer, they just walked off.
I was about to say Oppenheimer. The cast left during the premiere, and which is awesome because that's like mostly big stars.
Yeah.
And Legendary canceled they're the only studio that was going to Comic-Con this year, and they canceled their panel.
Right.
Ooh, Comic-Con? Being a Comic-Con? Can you actually believe that?
I just wish we knew when the tickets were on sale because I would have gotten them and gone.
Can you imagine people who did spend like $1,000 and now there's nothing to do there? Oh, that's really funny.
I'm like, this is gonna be a good con, honestly.
Yeah.
I know. I would love to be at San Diego Comic-Con.
Watch there be like tickets half off now. Like, oh yeah.
All right. A lot of people selling their tickets back.
Yeah.
But I mean, that we already knew that like the big studios weren't going. So
yeah.
Anyway, they can't promote at a convention, but they can still go to conventions as a guest. They just can't promote anything they're doing.
Right.
Sure.
If they wanted to be like, hey, I'm signing some things. If Anson Mount wanted to go to a convention and sign some things, he just can't sign Strange New Worlds merch.
Right.
That's so funny.
You
can sign a picture, but I can't sign your Starfleet uniform.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
promotion of a show he's acting.
I get it. It's just like legality is really funny sometimes.
Yeah.
The SAG, however, has kind of encouraged actors not to attend anyway, even though they can.
Yeah. They want to start them out in every way that they possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dangers. Days of Our Lives is about to be popping.
Yeah.
Could you imagine Days of Our Lives starring Cillian Murphy and Florence Pugh?
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I'd watch the shit out of that.
Yeah, it would be the highest rated soap opera of all time.
All right, Fran Drescher had this to say just before the strike during her big kind of speech, which is very good. I highly recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
The studio's responses to the union's most important proposals have been insulting and disrespectful of our contribution to this industry. He also said the companies have refused to meaningfully engage on some topics and on others completely stonewall this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So again, these are they're fighting for a lot of the same thing. You know, the DGA also was fighting for a lot of the same stuff. It's, you know, AI protections, better residuals, streaming residuals specifically because there are none.
It was
Sean Gunn.
okay.
Sean Gunn talked about how he's never gotten a residual. He didn't technically say it's residual, but he's never gotten money from Netflix for Gilmore Girls.
Almost zero, and he's like in that show a lot, which is ridiculous.
He's in every episode.
Yeah. Brian Cox from Succession, he was doing an interview talking about the strike, and he straight up shit all over the Directors Guild. Straight up shit all over them, saying, "Good for them, they got their own deal. Good for them. Good for them." And I'm like, damn, Brian, you angry? Like, that dude's like hella rich. Like, that dude's doing McDonald's commercials. Like, that dude's like the richest man ever. But like, he still is in solidarity with everybody.
It's also, as people have pointed out, like, you know, a lot of the directors didn't want to take the deal, but the DGA did it anyway.
Yeah.
And it very much is sitting at a place like, could you imagine the better deal you could have gotten if you just held out?
That's the thing. If they knew that the SAG was right around the corner, like, this could have been true solidarity.
They should have. They didn't read the writing on the wall.
Yeah, it still was a majority to take the deal. So like,
yeah,
a bunch of shitheads.
Yeah. And I did want to. Oh no, it left my brain. If it comes back, I'll let you know.
All right, well, here's some miscellaneous stuff as part of their proposals that came up that I've found online. Like I said, we don't know the full picture like we do with the WGA. They're not releasing the same kind of stuff. But apparently one of the proposals was that the studio would pay a background actor who's part of SAG $100 for 1 day of work, scan their likeness, and then be allowed to use that likeness forever.
Right.
Yeah. Do you remember? Because it some actor on Twitter like said, "Hey, the entire crew did a full scan of our bodies, and we were never Snowpiercer season 4. All of our bodies got scanned. They didn't tell us why, and we couldn't refuse it. It was part of like the contract, basically. That's so fucked up. I can't even believe it. Yeah. And people are just finding out about it without knowing it. Truly, like, movies should be deleted for the rest of time. This is awful. Get out of here.
This has been happening already.
Also, importantly, background actors they make up about 13% of SAG-AFTRA, and they are usually working more consistently than a big chunk of that other percentage, just because they're able to get from project to project.
Yeah, just being background extras.
And they're able to keep pretty consistent work by doing that all the time. That is a functional job to just be a background actor for the year, and this would effectively end that for so many people. Like people literally can make a living being a background actor for their entire lives.
Yeah,
like they can. It's been done for decades.
So what this kind of signals to a lot of people is that what has happened is what we already kind of knew, that these AI tech bros have convinced studios that this is the future. The studios are waiting until it is, and because they want it more than anything. I don't know if you guys saw, but there's a guy who was like, "Hey, I'm a screenwriting prodigy. I can write a screenplay in two days, and in 3 hours you have a finished photoreal movie with all new photoreal actors." And I'm like, first off, if you're a screenwriting prodigy, what the hell are you doing working at McDonald's?
Yeah, it's those people who think that they can make an entire movie through AI, like, they don't have a creative bone in their body.
It's the NFT scam that, like, we've talked about this. It's the same thing we were seeing with, like, everyone saying, like, NFT is the future of blah 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 blah. The same thing is happening now with AI, and like AI tools are on the rise. AI tools are useful. And like, this is the problem. Like, AI has become a catch-all for a lot of stuff.
Yes.
And there are AI tools. I use AI tools in my job.
Every single video game uses multiple AI systems and everything. Yeah.
Like, I use a specific tool in my job that is useful. It's an AI tool that helps me to just, like, but I have to, like, know how to use it. I have to fine-tune it, and it gets me just past, like, 20 minutes of extra work that I don't need to do, so I can get to the part where I get creative with it.
Yeah.
And that's in, like, what I do for video editing. And those kinds of things are fine, but what they're marketing, this NFT type push, is this AI can replace all of these things. And it's like, no, that's not true. But, like, CEOs are falling for that hand over fist. Yeah, all over the place. It's such a mess. I really loved asking ChatGPT the question about what would AI be better at replacing, a CEO or a worker on the lower line of the film industry, and they were like, well, really a CEO, because like all CEOs are meant to do is do like data analysis and make decisions based off looking at the projections of where things are going and how they've done before, and like AI would be better suited for that than like the creative process of lower line workers, and that's
Mission
what AI,
Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1 in theaters now.
and that's what AI said about the assessment, and it's very true. It's like, do we really need CEOs?
The entity is right about the CEOs. I'm just being real.
I've loved people like saying like, all right, I think we can all compromise on this. We'll replace CEOs with AI.
Yeah.
But that's the thing we've been talking about before. Like, AI can be used as a tool, but to replace the intrinsically human element of art with a computer is just not going to work. It's not feasible, and and it's all just greed for these CEOs who want to replace everyone. They want to do it to save money.
Yeah. Well, it's also like really shown them as, you know, like we criticize a lot of people for falling for the NFT gag when it's like, this is so dumb. Like, don't do this. Nobody, the general populace doesn't care about this the way that you are believing that they do.
It's also so lovely it's also lovely that like NFTs evolved, but basically like they're all like, people still have them, but they're not important whatsoever anymore.
Right.
Guys, I don't know what you're talking about. The Flash was just released on NFT.
Yeah, I saw that DVD menu.
Yeah, on Web3. Yeah. You can go to a digital Batcave and click and get a digital back card.
Yeah, they just brought DVD menus back around.
That's true. Yeah, that's pretty good.
They did it.
Interactive.
They did it. It's back. And then you've got it's disappointing, I think. Not just that they would do this like out of greed and everything, but to know that all of them are this stupid. To think that this is functionally the future.
Yeah. That
they've all fallen for the lie.
Yeah. The thing is, like, they're not looking to ban AI. They're looking... These people, WGA, SAG, are looking for AI protections.
Yeah. AI should be there as tools, but it should not be there as replacements.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Tools are fine. Replacing people functionally is not.
Just like special effects.
Yeah.
SAG apparently brought in AI experts who spent months working on proposals, but the CEOs wouldn't engage, according to this is what Sean Astin said, because he was part of that committee, I guess.
Right.
And he was, man, it's so weird. Like Michelle Hurd, Sean Astin, Fran Drescher, and they're like, these are famous people who are presidents of the union.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be like, there are people who, you know, like you get involved. That's how it happens, and Sean Astin makes a ton of sense to me. If you look at like the way he's talked about, the way he cares about what he does in the career and everything, it makes a ton of sense how deeply he's involved with the union. Adam Conover too, for example.
Yeah. He's one of the people.
He's on the board. He's on the board for the WGA,
and he's on SAG too.
By the way, Adam Conover has been great, just getting what he does, which is get very clearly the message out there to people. If you're not following him, I highly recommend, because he's been doing great work here.
I wanted to clarify to Ryan's comment that Adam Conover's in SAG, but he's not on the board at SAG.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I see. So he's on a double.
Because he specified that he feels like he can only functionally be a good committee member on one.
Yeah.
That's why when he was talking a lot of the WGA stuff, he had a lot of information. He's like, I don't know exactly what's going on with SAG because I'm a member, but I'm not on the board there.
Yeah.
Dropout TV, by the way, is gonna.
Oh, Sam Reich. Sam Reich put up such an excellent thread about Dropout where, like, the one thing I'll sum up is, like, someone talking about having worked on a Netflix show and then having worked on a Dropout show and being paid more for their time on the Dropout show.
That's bananas.
Which is, like, that's a small business, and Sam Reich knows how to appreciate the workers and the talent and what they're doing. Truly, Sam Reich is, with Dropout, I think, the model of what streaming should be going forward.
It helps that he makes a bunch of really small budget shows, too. That really does help.
That's true, but he's
good at managing it.
It's not just he's a CEO who understands both the value of what he's making, the realistic potential of it, and he's on the ground engaging with all the people on all levels.
Yeah,
and he doesn't take such a huge cut above everybody else.
It helps that he, while being a CEO, he is also just still like a normal comedian man. He's not a $27 million a year CEO. He's like,
but this is
he
the
is
thing.
a person.
This is the thing we talk about all the time, right? Like, part of the reason is because, like, Sam Reich is a really great CEO because Sam Reich comes from having done everything they do.
Yes.
And a lot of these CEOs don't.
It's true.
They came from just business into business leadership, blah 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 blah.
Like, this is how it's been forever, but I just don't understand like why. It's why James Gunn being like the head of DC makes so much sense, because he's a creative, and like when you have a business partner who has the business side, like so many of these business people have no idea how to work with art. They don't understand art. They don't appreciate art. They just view it as money. Or artists. More importantly, artists.
It wasn't always this way in Hollywood, because what changed was Hollywood was bought out by major tech companies like AT&T and Comcast and Viacom. These were not studios at first. The studios were self-sufficient and working for a long time. Paramount was not owned by someone. Universal was not owned by someone, and then it became Comcast Universal. Viacom Paramount. Like, Disney is the only company that is not owned by a higher company.
Right.
They are the company.
Yeah.
They are the company. So that's where these kind of CEOs who don't value art came from. They didn't come from the studio system.
Yeah, it's we have way more to talk about here, but like this really does feel like a big change. Like, this really does feel like it's been building for years and years and years, and like it's like, if it was just the Writers Guild, I would be more worried. But now that we have 160,000 actors on strike, this really does feel like it still might take time, but you can't make movies without actors. Mm-hmm. Like, we really can't. Like, writers, like, you cannot make art without the actors. So like, it's gonna happen.
Well,
when it happens, I don't know, but it's gotta happen.
And their contracts are up right now, which is why this is happening.
Yeah.
But there is a overall general labor movement of people, like
UPS, 300,000 people going on strike.
That, but just in, I think as a country coming back from the pandemic, a lot of people have just recognized where, like, I'm just not willing to put up with the bullshit where I'm not getting what my work is valued at, and I'm not down with working as hard as I do and not being able to afford to comfortably live.
It's true.
And that's just a general feeling that is passing through
everybody,
our entire country. And those that have the opportunity to do something about it should. And if you are part of a union, you should. This is the thing that should be happening. But it's also tough because, like, there's a lot of people who want to take these actions. They need to unionize to do so. And they are being directly ignored by people like Bob Iger, because we know that the animation side has been trying. Mm-hmm. They have gotten enough people to say we want to unionize, and they are being ignored.
Yes.
For it. And with that, why don't we talk about Bob Iger a bit, Brandon?
No, I've got a lot more I want to talk about.
Oh,
here.
Damn it.
You jumped over so many things, and I've been trying to chime in for a while. So one of the things I want to kind of rewind a little bit, which is CEOs. There's something that you guys mentioned, which about the CEOs making not being able to do what the other person can do, the lower wage workers, the bottom line workers. And there are people who actually think that they can, that the job of a CEO is much more strenuous than the job of the other people, the people that work for the CEO. That's just not true, because as Sparks said, these CEOs come from business to business to business to business, and a lot of the time they were handed the first business in the first place. Mm-hmm. They cannot be in the bullpen. They cannot be they don't have the skills for that. They don't have the drive for it, frankly. And you can't go to billionaire retreats. The thing that I'm trying to get at is that one of the things that the strikes are for is that there are a lot of problems in Hollywood right now that have stemmed from CEOs making decisions that only make them get bigger bonuses. And yes, a CEO of a company does deserve a higher paycheck than his assistant or his or her assistant or below. Yes, but it's the fact that they are making 400 to 1. That's the difference now. Yes. It used to be 30 to 1.
Right.
It's 400 to 1. That's the problem.
Right.
That's too much money.
It's what Sean Gunn said. Like, what I love about what Sean Gunn said was, like, he's not just talking about, like, he's talking about the morality of being a human being. And it's like, what do you need $100 million for? Why do you need $30 million a year? Like, why are you like this? Like, where's your morality? Why aren't you just being a decent human being? That's at the end of the day.
Well, this is part of that, again, like, this discussion going on in the country that's even outside of the studio CEOs and everything, which is just like, billionaires shouldn't exist.
Yes.
And these millionaires and, like, all the people who are making this much money, like, it does feel that there should be a federally mandated cap of, like, you cannot make this percentage more than your lowest paid worker.
Or you get taxed to shit.
Inside a company. Like, you shouldn't make more than this. Like, there should be a cap on how much you can make above your lowest paid employee.
Yeah.
And because no cap like that exists, this stuff has gotten out of control. But it feels like, obviously, that should be a thing, because the wealth disparity is insane.
True.
So, because of this is pretty likely. Miss Marvel is going to be one of the first streaming shows on Disney Plus to air on the Disney Channel. ABC, part of the wonderful world of Disney, air Miss Marvel. Which, by the way, I think they should just do anyway. The streaming shows should be aired on network TV to help get more audience members.
They did it with Andor.
They did it with Andor. Like, I just think that that's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Especially with, Disney. If you have multiple Disney channels, put them out there. Why not?
Yeah. And by the way, speaking of the strike, you're doing this. Those people deserve residuals now.
Right. Well, that's why I was going to say that the reason they haven't been putting them on network TV is because they don't want to pay residuals.
Yep.
They don't want to pay more than they have to.
Yeah. Cowards, a lot of them. The PGA, which is the Producer Guilds of America, they released a statement in solidarity with SAG and the WGA, which I thought was really cool.
Hell yeah.
There's a lot of people who think that the AMPTP is filled with producers. It is not. The Producers Guild is not the AMPTP, clearly. The AMPTP is a bunch of lawyers who represent the studio CEOs. They weren't even created by the Conver has a great history of the AMPTP on TikTok. Check it out.
True.
So what does this mean? Shutdowns, obviously. Basically everything is shut down. You can't film without actors. There are, however, the Marvel productions are all shut down, including Deadpool 3. Great. And
I don't know if you guys saw this one, but it really spotlighted how much the studios were confident they were going to get the actors to not strike. Wicked was 10 days away from finishing.
Ooh, somebody who was on that crew was cackling. On Twitter, he's just like, I cannot tell you how funny it is that we were almost a week away from being done and we shut down. That makes me so happy. And I'm like, yeah, they must be furious.
And McQuarrie, that was talking about how they're not done with directing part 2, but they're willing to push if they can't do the reshoots, because they just need reshoots at this point. And it's like, we just got a couple more things to film, but you know what? If if SAG goes on strike, guess we'll wait.
Just gives us more time to polish. Fine with me.
House of the Dragon season 2, however, did not shut down.
This is interesting. This is an interesting one.
Yes. It is one of the productions that did not shut down because their actors are not SAG. They are licensed through Equity, which is a different...
It's UK.
A UK-based actors union.
Which I didn't know. Because I'm like, House of the Dragon, still full and rolling strong. I'm like, what about the guild? And they're like, oi, governor, we don't have a guild. Sorry, all those people. I'm sure they would love to be in solidarity, but damn, we messed up being from England.
So Equity has a no strike clause, which is you're not allowed to do a sympathy strike.
There's literally no one in SAG-AFTRA in House of the Dragon.
Dude, they're all English.
Well, no,
apparently.
I guess so.
Here's one of those things. So I was listening to one of the fucking 18 podcasts I was listening to, but specifically, there are not a lot of UK actors who don't also work in America,
right.
But specifically House of the Dragon is very much a UK-centric cast.
Sure.
A lot of those people have not showed up in American things. So, specifically, 80% of that cast is we kind of don't have a choice.
I'm thinking of the Lizard.
The Lizard?
Kirk Connors. What's the actor's name?
Rhys Ifans. Yeah. He's probably...
He has to be SAG-AFTRA also,
He does do a lot of American stuff. That's a good question.
He might be Equity too.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is he might be both. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, I wonder if you're shooting in the UK and you're part of Equity and part of SAG, you still have to do it. Interesting.
Probably.
Yeah.
The MPTP was not sure that a lot of foreign productions to shut down, so that could be it.
Yeah.
Anyway, Gladiator 2 also not shut down. Ridley Scott is going to keep filming. He will, however, not film with any of his actors. He will film with background performers and crowds until the strike is resolved. Until he runs out of shots that have background actors and crowds.
I mean,
ones who are not members of the union, obviously.
I mean, I guess that makes sense. Like, if you're trying to do a lot of like the B-roll, like, you know, the stuff that's not super important to like all the main shots, sure. But after a while, like, he can't do that for months.
I don't know. I trust Ridley Scott to be able to figure it out. He replaced Kevin Spacey on a dime. So
2 weeks before the movie came out, shit, dude, he can do anything.
Ridley Scott can do anything.
He can do anything.
That's true. That's true.
That is still impressive. 2 weeks before that movie's out, new man.
That was weirdly enough the last Ridley Scott film I watched.
Oh, we gotta watch The Last Duel.
I really want to watch that one.
Yeah.
For sure.
We'll talk about a Ridley Scott film in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
FX's Alien series apparently was done filming, and they were in post-production getting ready for reshoots. They are not sure if they will be able to do those reshoots because only 2 of their cast members are SAG.
I really hope that's a situation where they can just push it instead of like just not doing reshoots and having like a shitty version. I really hope they're not gonna.
This is the Noah Hawley Alien series. I want to see this be good.
Yeah.
So again, it is a factor of you have to be careful with like these actors have to be careful, the ones that are not in the union, because if they're trying to get in the union down the road, they can't work either.
This is a black mark.
That's
the
tough part.
Yeah.
Is that you can't do the work.
Don't be scabbing.
It will be considered scabbing. You will not be invited into the union in the future if they find out.
Makes sense.
Then lastly about this whole thing is the AMPTP. If you are not part of the AMPTP, if you're a truly independent producer, you will be able to sign a temporary contract with SAG and be allowed to film with SAG actors because you will have a specific contract with SAG and you are not part of who they are striking.
This is I forget the name of the actor, but she was working on her own film that she pitched to a studio. The studio said no, so she took it and she was making it on her own. Mm-hmm. She's her own producer for it. She is a SAG-AFTRA member, but because of that, I believe that is one of those deals. She has that worked out separately and is an independent producer, therefore their thing can keep working and everyone who works on it is not in trouble with the union.
Oh, I think it might have been the Empire podcast I was listening to, because there are multi-hyphenate people who are writer, director, producer, actors, and in those capacities sometimes they are able to, because they do everything themselves, they can they can go forward. Yeah.
The thing here is, this is why the WGA can't just strike Netflix or strike Paramount. They have to strike all of them because they are all part of the company that they have the contract with.
Yeah.
So if they were able to make separate contracts, like was the original intent, this full studio strike might not have actually happened.
Right.
I just wish if everyone was paid properly and everyone was excited to make the art that they wanted to make, better art would be made and more people would be going to the movies, more TV shows would be seen. Like, it's only a net benefit. It's only a positive when more good art gets made. So I'm just like, I don't understand why business people don't see that. It's like the thing that was Disney was so good at. They're pumping out a lot of stuff, but as long as it's good, they care about the quality. Like it's always a business transaction. I'm just like,
we can't possibly imagine the minds of multi-millionaire CEOs who come from generations where things were just different.
Yeah.
It's the thing that we talked about. Like, there's so much content out there. There's so much big. All the budgets are ballooning to over $300 million. Like, where is this money? This is a money laundering scheme now.
Basically,
that's what Hollywood has become for these CEOs, and that's what they're fighting against.
Yes.
That's the bottom line. What these strikes are about, to make Hollywood better.
Yeah, yeah. Because again, like, you could have record-breaking profits year to year if you treat everyone right. You will still get your millions of dollars. Like, if you have the MCU 6 years ago, all those movies were making so much money. you just gotta care. And like, but I'm just repeating myself. Like,
But you're absolutely right, because it's like, $300 million is a lot of money for a movie. I never see it on screen. Well, I did recently, but like I never really see it on screen. So like, where's that money going?
something like,
Took that money and ran.
yeah. When I think of like, and this is a very specific, but like Infinity Endgame, and those movies are really expensive. But like, you also built to something, and those movies made billions of dollars. I'm just like, we could do that again. You just have to have like the people on the ground floor be happy about it.
Danger Dan is correct. The irony of it all is the strikes are more expensive right now than the cost of just paying the workers fairly. That's so true. It's that the CEOs are standing on a cliff of saying, yes, that's true, and we'll lose money right now, but they believe the end goal is like they'll profit more and have to pay less if they hold their ground, which is what they want to fight for.
Yeah.
Because they're greedy, selfish idiots.
Talk about Bob Iger.
Thank God.
Bobby.
Okay. Say the things.
Jonathan Iger has decided to stay on as Disney CEO. If you recall, he became Disney CEO a little bit into last year.
Yes.
Pretty late into last year, honestly. And he came back. He was like, hey, I'm going to fix Disney, but I'm only going to be here for 2 years. So at the end of 2024, I'm gone. Well, no, he decided to stay on as CEO until 2026. And the other thing that put him in the news was that at his billionaire retreat, where everybody had a private plane, and parked them like minivans.
Yeah. Hanging out with the likes of like Mark Zuckerberg and everyone's
Musk.
and Elon Musk, everyone's favorite billionaires.
And anyway, he said at this retreat that he believes that the writers and the actors are being unreasonable in their demands.
Unrealistic.
Realistic, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk about this because I can't believe that Bob Iger came out and shit-canned any possibility he ever had of being president.
Yeah.
I can't believe that this is how he decided to take the stance. And it's not because I thought Bob Iger was a better person. I did think he was like, he had gotten that reputation of being like, well, he's kind of like the better CEO.
And it's not so one of the better billionaires.
And it's not so much because he's a good person or anything like that. It's because he seemed to understand the value of progress.
Yes.
The value of supporting the progressive side and how that affected business. And I think he got that reputation from being somebody who everybody anticipated, and looking at his career at Disney and everything, as a person who could see where the winds were changing and got with the right side. Yes. And it's so stunning to see him do this, because even if he believes all these things, which he clearly does, I wouldn't be in his position and say that out loud, because it just shows like how much he just didn't realize, I guess, what his reputation was and how much this was going to hurt it. No. Because he just blew such a hole in the support team of his own company. So many people who were more on his side than others. Yeah. Very upset.
Danger says, until recently, he seemed more savvy and able to read the room better than most of the others. And that's true, yeah.
Like early when the strikes were happening, we were like, Bob Iger's probably going to be the first person to turn around on this. Yeah. Because he's the person who, like, again, it's not because he's a great person or anything. He just tended to see where things were going to go.
He had good business
and get ahead of it so that he could get the most benefit from it. Yeah. And he was good at that. That's what made him a good leader at Disney. So to see him take this stance was like, I can't believe he just threw all of that goodwill he had out the freaking window.
And again, like, none of us stand a billionaire, but like we all love Disney. We love the things they put out, but like, man, this is just like awful. It's like, man, nobody's good. We can't support anybody.
It's so funny because you see how hard like people turned on Bob Iger, because like all of a sudden there became a discussion of like, let's dig up a lot of the things he said in the past. Let's dig up some of his old interviews about when he was president at ABC.
He got Twin Peaks canceled.
Yeah, like let's dig up all this old shit of what Bob Iger has screwed up before. And I'm like, man, nobody was digging in before Bob. He really blew it. Such an insane way.
I do want to say, just because I brought up Twin Peaks, he did write, Bob Iger, in his own memoir, that he regrets canceling Twin Peaks. He regrets canceling it because he had a great talk with David Lynch, and he realized, I definitely was on the wrong side of history with that one. And you're right, Bob. You are right.
Right. But the other thing, I don't know if you have this in the news notes, Brandon, because I don't remember and I'm not looking at them, but I do want to spotlight that what shocked me about this conversation was not just like the shit canning of the writers and the actors, which is absolutely ridiculous because what they're asking for is not unrealistic and it makes a lot of sense. And boy, Bob, did you step in it. But he also took the opportunity to essentially throw specifically Marvel Studios under the bus.
Oh, yeah.
But a lot of people, for the failures in people's minds of quality content from Pixar, from Marvel Studios.
Oh, he shit on the TV shows.
Onto Disney Plus, as though he's not the person who set it up.
It's specifically, like, we haven't had, like, any, like, real TV output. And then Clark Gregg, Coulson from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. retweeted that going, guess my whole show was nothing. Guess I'm just a piece of shit, aren't I?
Well, but, like, I get the point, which is, like, he wasn't saying, like, Marvel television in general. He was saying Marvel Studios had not made a TV show. Yeah. And that's true. Yeah. But the point is that he acted like, what he says is, like, yeah, they, like, it's just tough because they rushed to make so much more quantity over quality, and, like, kind of lost their focus and everything. And I'm like, Bob, you set that up.
That was you.
Like, a lot of that happened under Chapek's reign. But the foundation of it all happening was set up for Iger. Mm-hmm. He put that in place. He put up, I want this many shows, I want blah, 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 blah. Don't pretend that this wasn't Iger, and I can't believe that he's trying to play it off that it wasn't his decision, because he was also the person who thought there should be a Star Wars movie every year until he decided, well, maybe that wasn't a good idea.
Yep.
And so the fact that, like, this is another thing, is usually when something has slipped up under Bob's watch in the company, he takes accountability. And he says, yeah, we need to pivot. I thought something would work, it didn't work. I need to pivot. The fact that he's kind of tossing all of the Disney Plus, anything underwhelming on Disney Plus, under the banner of poor decision making at the top that he's not responsible for, is just nuts.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was about to say that he pushed Disney Plus, because you're right, that is next here. He was pushing Disney Plus. He premiered Disney Plus. It was the thing that he was going to leave as legacy. That's why he left after its launch. At that press conference, it was him that said all the Marvel shows that were coming out for Phase 4.
Yeah.
He's the one who did that.
Pretty much everything that's come out prior to this year on Disney Plus, Bob Iger set the schedule for it. Chapek just oversaw it.
Yeah.
But the dates, the selection, that was Iger. Iger made all those choices.
It feels like now that his back is up against the wall, like the facade's gone. It's just like this. No, I am just a greedy shithole. I'm like,
but he just didn't have to.
It's
so weird that he went out and did this.
It's just like, but like I think like he does feel threatened by all these poor people, and he's like, yeah, actually, I don't care about y'all. Sorry if you thought I did. And I'm just like, that is a real bummer. It really is.
Oh, Iger, in this discussion, talked about how he'll be reducing spending and creating new content for specifically Marvel and Star Wars. He's going to really scale back on those. Secret Invasion apparently cost $210 million. Maybe that's not a terrible idea.
I will agree in the sense of like, hey, we don't need this many shows and this many movies if this is the quality level we're putting out. Specifically, some of the Star Wars and Marvel shows, like some of them are just like fine to bad. So I'm just like, honestly, like yeah, like if you want to like push back, like we talked about this months ago when they did like the big like because of the pandemic they pushed everything a couple months to give more time for everything to get worked on. Right. That's fine with me. I don't need 8 Marvel products a year.
No, I agree with the point of what he's saying. Which is that like there was a push too hard for quantity over quality, and that we need to like refocus on what is good storytelling at all these venues. And I'm like, I agree with that point. Yeah. I just don't like that you're pretending like that choice was made outside of your control.
Absolutely.
I don't mind the idea of, because I agree with the point he's making here. I just think he's the cause of it.
Yes.
Where he talked about, if he's talking about lowering the amount that they make, I kind of would rather you just keep the amount you're doing but spread it out. Make it like the gap between Ant-Man, Guardians, and Secret Invasion, quite frankly, has been great.
Yeah, right.
I don't feel overwhelmed by Marvel content this year, because after Secret Invasion, the next one is
the Marvels.
Loki.
Oh no, it's Loki. He's right.
Oh shit,
Loki's in October.
Oh yeah, that's right. They pushed that.
But that's in October, so like I got months before that.
Right.
So like that feels great. So I don't think the necessary thing is to cancel everything. I just think that's take more time, spend less money on it maybe, but take more time.
Right. Yeah, Secret Invasion specifically, hearing that budget, I have no idea where it went.
The important thing is that even though these shows are more spread out this year, they were still made in studio and everything on that time crunch schedule. So like we're not going to see the benefits of stretching the schedule in the shows that are coming out this year. We're going to see it maybe next year, more importantly the year after, because of how long it takes to make the things. Like they were still rushing out scripts and getting everything done while having to work on all the other shows that they were trying to pump out like they thought more this year than they ended up. So like we're not seeing the full benefit right now until later. And the other thing I wanted to highlight about that is that while like people are talking about, you know, the Marvel specials going away, which I'm like, I don't understand how that makes any sense. I'm like, those are two of your strongest things, and they're smaller. You know, like they're essentially like, I think more frequent bite-sized singular special things are a good idea. Get a lot of characters crossing over and doing things for like an hour, for like a little special story. I'm more there for that
100%.
than I am for the like 6-episode series that's sometimes just kind of spinning its
I don't
wheels.
think anybody watched Werewolf by Night. No, that's a problem.
So real quickly, I just want to kind of reiterate my last point, which was like I just don't think canceling anything, and he hasn't yet, but I just don't think canceling, because at this point every one of the shows that have been announced have writers and directors attached to them. I don't think wasting their work is beneficial. I just think maybe giving them a little bit less money and stretching it out is the way to go, Bobathan, but whatever. To what Sparks is saying, so yes, that was my next thing. There are many scoopers who are saying, and these days scoopers are actually getting a lot of things right more than they get the wrong. Are saying that these special presentations are going to be done. They're not going to do any more. There is one filmed though, that will come out, but it will be the last one.
Yeah,
I agree. Like, I don't think that's the right idea.
I really hope that's not true, because I do think that's the better way to get people to engage. I do think they need to market them better.
Yes.
I think they need to call more attention to them when they come out.
Yeah.
But I also think if you get like a special that features like Moon Knight meets Blade, I don't know, something.
No, yeah.
Something where like you know it's Kate Bishop is in New Jersey for some reason and runs into Kamala Khan.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Like a one shot.
You get like characters that people want to see doing something together for like a one shot.
Yeah.
I think that's more valuable. Give me the road trip special. Give me the 1 hour road trip special of Kate Bishop and Florence Pugh.
Here's the problem.
Give it to me.
Here's the problem. That's incredible. I wish that's what they're doing. The problem is the first special presentation was a rated R black and white horror thing that nobody watched. So that set a precedent that nobody wanted to watch the special presentations. Not that they didn't want to watch Werewolf by Night. They didn't want to watch this entire type of thing you're making, and that's just stupid. Why don't you release another one first to test it first? Because that is
release Guardians, and no one watched that either.
I gotta tell you,
Brandon, you're 100% right. I forgot the Guardians thing came out. That's true. Nobody watched that one either.
I gotta tell you guys, like every like project that goes by, I question if Kevin Feige's as smart as we ever thought he was.
Dude, Phase 1 is like so magical. Like it's like that could never happen again. No way.
And again, like it's also a question to me of like how much is Kevin Feige's hand on the wheel at this point. But like
it could be too big.
I still question like how much Nate Moore's control.
I was about to say Nate Moore.
I do. I don't trust it. But I feel like the kind of decisions to not see, like, even if the viewership isn't showing up there immediately, the value of the special presentations is something that Feige would fight for.
Yes.
I would hope. But I don't know. Dump Echo all in one go. I guess that's fine.
Yeah.
So Iger also claims that we've been kind of dancing around this, but Marvel's output has diluted audiences' focus and attention, is what he said.
I think it's I don't know about that, because again, you said it, Brandon. Like this year, I think it's been evenly spaced out, like a couple months between every project. The problem is we've had Guardians is the only standout of the year.
Look,
we've had the other one, and then the TV show, and they've both been whatever.
Nobody would have a problem with the output volume if they enjoyed all of it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like nobody would have a problem with it if they felt like the quality was there, and like I'm more positive on a lot of it than the general populace, but I also acknowledge that there's a lot of problems, and I think a lot of it is like mismanagement on scripts and mismanagement on production and how fast they've been trying to push things out. I think like speed is a problem.
Yes.
So that's true, but like the sheer amount of things isn't the thing that I think is hurting the audience necessarily. It's that when they show up for it, they don't feel like they're being rewarded for their time.
I think, yeah. I think the 1-2 punch of Love and Thunder and Quantumania, and those are movies that I both like. I don't love either of those movies, but those are both movies that the audiences did not respond to at all. And those are like Ant-Man, not so much. Thor's a big character, like especially after Ragnarok. Like those two big Marvel blockbusters did not hit. So I think for a lot of people, it's just like, do I need to see the next one if it's going to be like these other two? And I'm like, I get it. I get that. We didn't used to feel that way.
Pixar, Iger acknowledged that this is kind of in the same realm that we're talking about here. Iger acknowledged that the Disney Plus release of the first of the 4 Pixar movies they did.
Yes. Well, Onward was half, and then Soul, Luca, and Turning Red.
Yeah. That impacted the demand. Why go to the theater when you know the film's going to be on Disney Plus?
You did that. You did that. I didn't put it on Disney Plus.
To be fair, a little bit, Luca and Turning Red and Soul all would have been under Chapek. That would have been his decision about how that was distributed, and where it was distributed and why. And we all acknowledged how Turning Red was stupid. So I won't lay that entirely at Iger's feet.
No, but I will lay it on Disney's feet.
It is at Disney's feet. Yes, I'm glad that he's acknowledging that was a problem.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't there for those decisions.
He probably would have put those in theaters.
I think he would have.
Yeah.
Well, I think he would have put
Turning
Soul
Red
on as a gift. I think he would have charged for Luca on Disney Plus, just like they were charging for everything else that they were putting on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And I think Turning Red would have gotten a hybrid release in theaters and charged on Disney Plus, just like the other Disney movies that were coming out around then, rather than coming out for free.
Lightyear, straight to Disney Plus.
Yeah, so he also, speaking of Lightyear, he also said there have been some, quote, creative misses with Pixar, which has impacted audiences' interest in Pixar.
I understand, not liking Lightyear, and I guess it didn't make enough money, but, I don't think that was a total misfire. I just didn't think it was, at the highest level of what they could make.
I think they think it was a huge misfire, because I think they expected that to be, $1 billion movie. I really do. Yeah. I think they wanted, that was going to be their new flagship, this is our Marvel big movie, baby.
Sure. I think you're probably right.
What are the some creative misses? I get the one.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? Turning Red, Luca? Both those movies are great.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do actually think he's right on the idea that these films.
I think if we're talking,
it goes back to real quickly, Spark. Sorry, real quickly. It just goes back to the Marvel stuff. Why go to the theater for a Disney film if you know it's going to be on streaming in a couple months?
I think while Luca was critically really well received, I think profitability wise, again, because it was released for free on Disney Plus, I don't think that made a lot of money in post. Yeah, I don't think there were a lot of people picking it up on Blu-ray necessarily. Whereas Turning Red, I do think benefited in financially, but I do think while Luca critically was a hit, he might be considering that one a misfire too, just because I don't think it turned a lot of profit for the company.
No, so interesting about that. So you mentioned something that I wanted to bring up earlier when I was talking about the strike.
Sure.
Because with the strike, a lot of it is the residuals thing. So Matt Damon went on Hot Ones months ago, years ago. How long ago was this?
Months, yeah.
He talked about the model that used to be, which was the movie would come out, it would make some money, and then it would be put on DVD, and it would make some money again.
A second life.
A second opening. Streaming killed that second life and never replaced it with anything else, which is one of the reasons why which is one of the reasons which caused a cascade effect that not where the actors not only not getting residuals, but now you have to make all your money in box office.
Yes.
Which makes a lot of these movies fail a lot harder.
Yes. I do think that, honestly, we've done the wrong thing and should have done the reverse, where the movie comes out in theaters, the movie comes out on home video, and VOD, you can pay for it, but digitally. It's not on the streaming service or streaming library. And then 6 months past the home video release, then it's on the streaming service, because it should eventually get libraried.
Yeah.
But for the people who want to see it again quick, you will get that return profit rather than just going to the streaming service. It should have been a bigger gap window. The last place it ends up is on the streaming service if it's not an original production.
Yeah.
That was how it was before the studios got their own services. That's how Netflix did it.
Right.
I quite enjoy. I don't like how fast movies are. a movie will hit in theaters and then in like 3 weeks it's on demand already. But I do really like that after a couple weeks you can spend like the same amount of money to see the movie at your, like, you're not buying it yet, but you can rent it at your house. I think that's a great idea. Like I personally, I could see a future where I on a Friday I just watch the movie at my house instead.
I'll even say, like, rather than just like doing the VOD, like, oh, I buy it digitally from Amazon, you should be able to, just like during the pandemic, buy the digital copy of the movie at home for $20, but on the streaming service.
Yeah.
So, like, on Disney Plus, when it comes to home video, hey, you can also spend $20 to unlock it on the streaming service now, or it'll be free in 6 months.
Yeah, I like that model, to be honest.
I think that would make a lot of sense, and that would fix a lot of this problem. I do want to highlight, because we're talking about the Pixar stuff, I'm sure you might have caught it. I specifically hate that he named Elemental as a misfire. As like disappointing, and I'm like, it literally is the highest grossing animated film for Disney since Frozen 2 now. It has cleared that bar.
The word of mouth.
It doesn't even make sense to talk about it that way. Yeah. It's clearly profitable.
Yeah.
It made more than Encanto.
It cost $200 million to make, I think.
Yeah, it cost. It made more than Encanto, and we're not talking about Encanto being a mistake or anything. Like, I don't get it. It's already, like, going up, and it's not slowing down. It keeps every week getting people to come out. It keeps getting more and more money. Like, I don't understand why we're talking about Elemental, especially from him at this point in time, about it like it failed.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's kind of, CEOs and the media like to pick on certain movies sometimes, right? Like Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning and Indiana Jones did the same weekend, but Indiana Jones is a failure and Mission Impossible is a success.
Yeah, over 331 million worldwide. Elemental.
Yeah,
that is not a failure.
It's obviously not a billion, but that's not a failure. That movie keeps making money. Like, yeah.
I don't think you can look at the portfolio again, like, of animated films that Disney has put out in theaters, and like this is the first one to cross up to the point of Frozen 2. Like, everything else has fallen below.
That's really
Elemental's successful.
That's really crazy because Frozen 2 was years ago.
2019.
Yeah, that's crazy. Actually,
it's the highest grossing animated film Disney or Pixar that they have put out as a company since 2019.
That's crazy. Yeah.
There's no reason Elemental should be in the conversation as it's a success, if anything.
Yeah.
It's the first one to make them more money. It's ridiculous. Sorry.
It's not a billion. It's a loss.
Your marketing sucked.
Tax write-off.
That's why.
Your marketing sucks. The money's going somewhere else that it shouldn't go. I swear, it's a money laundering scheme now.
If nothing else, Elemental stands out there as a proof of quality and word of mouth being important.
Yeah.
Like, if you put the quality there, people will talk about it, and the movie can have legs.
What did we just see with Top Gun Maverick?
Yeah.
Look at the legs that movie had.
Yeah.
That's still possible. It is still possible to have long theatrical runs where you just keep making money.
Yeah. Everybody thought Elemental was going to be gone within like 3 weeks, and Elemental is still making money hand over fist. Like, it might not be the top grosser on any weekend necessarily, but it's still coming in like in the top 5.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weeks since it came out. Like, obviously the word of mouth got around that was worth going to.
Yeah.
So I don't get it.
All right. Anyway, so that's everything on I've got on Iger. If you guys want to bring up anything else.
We covered him.
No, again, I don't stand any billionaires, but he was the one who seemed to have the most business sense about this kind of stuff. And then it's like, no, not really. He's just as bad as everyone else, unfortunately.
He's usually ended up on the right side of history, and I think here he ended up on the wrong side of it. And I think we will look back when, like, we're years down the road and Iger's no longer involved with the company or anything, and we'll talk about, like, where is it that he screwed up, and this is going to be the moment that we're going to talk about. We're going to say this is where he messed up. This is his Eisner releasing California Adventure. This is his slip up, is how he handled the strikes.
Mm-hmm. I saw the mask slipping off when he removed the stuff from Disney Plus. I was like, oh,
yep,
okay, like that, huh?
Yeah,
the Zaslav domino.
That shit on ABC. Anyway, so but we're not done with Disney because they've announced a new video game.
Oh, sorry, real quick, I did want to highlight just about the strikes out there because there's a lot of conversation about it on all kinds of ends. But if you're supporting of the strikes, please, like, support the fund or just, like, vocalize your support, get it out there on whatever social medias and all that kind of stuff. But don't cancel your streaming services.
Yes, don't do that.
Writers and actors have emphasized that can actually hurt them right now in negotiations if you try and like the boycotts are not effective, and it's not going to get the results that are going to help them. It's going to show that there's no interest in having them make anything, and you still want to go support the things that they have worked on that are coming out. So don't cancel if you gotta cancel your streaming services for some reason, like that's fine or whatever, but don't do it in a boycott. That's not a way to support what's going on right now.
True.
So most likely in an effort to get news away from the strike, much like that Percy Jackson poster.
Oh boy.
What a poster, right?
That was so sad.
Wow, a flag.
A flag and a helmet.
Shoutouts to Rick Riordan taking the opportunity where he just shared some blurbs about like making the show and translating it from. He did this on Threads, but he took the opportunity with the poster coming out. And he's like, I'm gonna just tell you guys about like adapting the show and what that's been like and what I valued in making it and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, cool for you, Riordan, for like making this a moment to like, hey, if everybody's looking at the show, I want to tell you guys why the show's cool. Like, yeah. Awesome.
But Marvel and Cliffhanger Games, which is a subsidiary of EA, is developing a third-person, single-player Black Panther game. This will join the Wolverine, Iron Man, and Captain America / Black Panther video game that are currently in development.
Yes.
Hey, if you want to hear us talk about superhero comic book video games, I have an entire section in the Basement Arcade Quarterly that we spent 20 minutes talking about this.
That's completely true.
There's literally no information. This game just got announced. We won't see it for probably 5 to 6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just to highlight that they did this to be like, hey, what strike?
Yeah,
didn't
100%.
you? God help me.
Yeah.
Didn't you mention that this is like studio coming out of
Skydance.
It's coming out of
This is the Monolith one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Kevin Stevens, who worked at Monolith and founded Monolith, who worked on the Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War games, left that studio to create a new studio, Cliffhanger Games, which is working on this game. Monolith is working on a Wonder Woman game right now. So there are 2 badass Monolith-inspired open-world games coming out in the next couple 4 to 5 years, probably, that are probably going to be dope. A lot of really great comic book games. Again, check out Quarterly if you want to have the entire list.
Just to give you an idea, because I know Brandon's played the Shadow game for Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
Like part of that is the inspiration team going into Black Panther. So reason to be excited about this.
Oh yeah.
I mean, hey, that's cool. I guess Wolverine will be out in 4 years. So
No,
we'll see
Wolverine.
when that starts coming.
Nah, you need to watch that Basement Arcade Quarterly discussion. Wolverine will probably be out next year.
I think so. Okay.
We posit that Wolverine is probably going to be a smaller scale,
Miles
closer
Morales.
to Miles Morales, like a 10 to not as grand scale because it doesn't need to be as like traverse the city kind of style as Spider-Man. So
They released Ratchet and Clank.
much more Ratchet and Clank.
They released Ratchet and Clank and Miles Morales less than a year apart. It's going to be the same thing for Spider-Man Wolverine.
Cool.
I'm excited
I
for it. Though.
want to play it. So.
Hell
Hell yeah.
I mean, like, I'm honestly, truthfully, we know nothing about the Iron Man game, but like the Black Panther Captain America game is the one I'm actually really excited about.
I'm so jazzed about that as a concept. Like, really looking forward to it.
That's the one I'm waiting for.
Hell yeah.
All right, comic books.
We like them.
It's true.
This is actually a book. I snuck in a book.
How dare you?
I mean, I've read books before.
Jordan Peele is coming out with a book called Out There Screaming.
Oh yeah,
an
yeah.
anthology. Yeah, so an anthology of new black horror. This is actually going to be edited by Jordan Peele and will feature a bunch of writers. I've got a list if you guys want me to read the list, but it's a lot of names. So
You don't have to.
No, we're okay.
So here's the synopsis real quickly. A cop begins seeing huge. I hope you can't hear that. A cop begins seeing huge blinking eyes, where the headlights of cars should be, that tell him who to pull over. Two freedom riders take a bus ride that leaves them stranded on a lonely road in Alabama, where several unsettling somethings await them. A young girl dives into the depths of the earth in search of the demon that killed her parents. These are just a few of the worlds of Out There Screaming, Jordan Peele's anthology of all new horror stories by black writers.
He helped produce that Twilight Zone TV show, and he's like, I'm not done.
Yeah.
This sounds really cool.
Yeah.
This is just awesome. Particularly in the horror sphere, there's not a lot of renown for black authors with strong driven their voice in horror books. That's just not championed very much. So the fact that this is not only being made, but like can be a launching ground for finding audiences for a lot of these writers and then getting more work is really great, because like horror novelism is very much dominated by white men.
And what
and it's cool to see this opportunity for everyone to break through.
Yeah.
If nothing else, I always appreciate that Jordan Peele will kind of not that he's like shamelessly using his name, but he uses the opportunity of what he's gained to raise up other voices and get more people in places where they want to be.
It's a good producer.
He holds open that elevator door for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Which is really great.
Yeah.
You were gonna say something I think I kind of stepped on.
I sure was. It wasn't important. I'm sure it wasn't important.
I'm really glad you added this. I'm super excited because it is something where like there is just a dearth of, not that there are no black authors writing horror, but boy is it hard to find people talking about them or find their work like shared very commonly. So to get a spotlight on a lot of it is awesome.
Oh, one of the most prominent Lovecraft Country is a book about black characters dealing with horror, but it's written by a white person.
Right.
So like that book is incredibly famous, and if you didn't know any better, you might not think it was written by a white dude, but no, it's a white dude. So like definitely
discovering that on our Fake Nerds Watch show. We were like, oh, weird.
Yeah.
Right.
That's out October 3rd. So check that out when it's out.
Halloween.
To the credit of the author of Lovecraft Country, like, awesome for them to be like, please take my book and authenticate it
100%. Absolutely.
Make it your own thing, because obviously I can't.
No, yeah, I respect the hell of it. I just wanted to bring up like
it's so true,
because that is I think that's a really well done thing, and like you don't think a white person would be writing
there's so much in film of how black voices have translated into horror and in various ways. It's all over the place in a lot of spaces, but books is so much less common to be seen.
Yeah.
So it's great.
Absolutely.
All right. Universal Monsters: Dracula is going to launch a new partnership with Skybound and Universal Studios, a new imprint called Universal Monsters. This is going to be an adaptation of the 1931 film. It's written by James Tynion IV, art by Martin Simmons, which immediately has me go like, oh?
There's some art already out for it. It looks incredible. So I'm super excited for this.
So it's an adaptation of the film directly?
I think it's loosely it's
or is it like
using the dude's the what's the actor?
Bela Lugosi.
Using his likeness.
I think what they're doing, they are adapting the movie with more stuff from the book, using the aesthetics of the movie.
Sure.
So it's Bela Lugosi, but you're getting more stuff from the book and stuff.
Sure.
That's not in the movie.
Okay.
That's what I would assume, because James Tynion doing this has me really interested. Like, he's not a guy who does adaptations. Not that I say that there are bad adaptations, but like, there's not really a lot of work that needs to go into them. Someone like him.
Yeah. I will tell you bad adaptations. Marvel is put out the Mandalorian and like the Rise of Skywalker, and that's literally just 1-to-1 the movies in the comic form. And like that's where you introduce new ideas and new story elements that you didn't get to see in the movies.
Right.
And like those are
novelizations.
Like novelizations. But like the Mandalorian, like issue 1 I read on Marvel Unlimited, that literally is just episode 1 of the Mandalorian. And I'm like, that was a waste of my effing time. It looks great. So I hope it's more of like what we want it to be. Yeah.
I feel like him being part of this, and this being kind of like a point to an imprint to Skybound, I think has got me super interested. Like this, there's got to be something more here than just that film.
Yeah, and I love the artist's work. So like I'm seeing like a Bela Lugosi in comic form seems just like a cool idea. I'm into it.
There's actually a really great graphic novel out there that's about Bela Lugosi. It's like a biography on him that is graphic novel.
Oh, hell yeah.
Obviously it spotlights a lot of Dracula, but it spotlights a lot of other stuff too. I have it somewhere.
I'm into it.
Because it's one I want to do for a book club at some point. But Megan got it for me 2 years ago, I think.
Lon Chaney, the man of 1,000 faces.
All that to say, Bela Lugosi's face translates very well to graphic novels.
Yeah.
It looks really cool.
Sure.
Beneath trees where nobody sees. is a comic book coming from writer and artist Patrick Horvath, which did, I believe, Image's Ha-Ha, H-A-H-A, kind of this whimsical horror. Going to be part of IDW's new creator initiative, because they lost the Hasbro license. They really have nothing much, so they're going to launch a new initiative to try to get some more creator-owned comics out there.
Makes
That's
sense.
cool.
The first one. Just read this. This is interesting. I like this one. In the tranquil and welcoming little town of Woodbrook, humanoid animals happily live in harmony. This cute community isn't quite as calming as it seems, though. On the surface, Samantha is the friendly face who owns and manages the hardware store. Beneath the surface lies something more terrifying. She visits the nearby city to let her violent urges loose and buries her victims in the woods. But what happens when the killing comes back to her harmonious hometown and Samantha isn't the only one unleashing her inner animal?
Ooh, bad things come to her town, and she's also bad.
So the images that are out, because there's a preview of this, has Samantha, who's a teddy bear, lure a duck handyman out to the woods and chloroform it by putting the thing over the beak, which I thought was very funny, and then cuts its neck and lets it bleed out in the woods.
Oh, is it actually blood and not like foam or like?
It's actually blood.
Oh, okay. I'm into that.
Looks pretty cool, honestly.
I'm into cute things that are actually murderous. I'm into that.
Sure.
I remember Happy Tree Friends.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thunderbolts.
Oh man, this is cool and bad. I love it and hate it.
So we talked about Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing. They left their Captain America run to do this. So Thunderbolts is the next step in that.
And man, the way they worded it, they have the main tweet, and then the tweet under it's like, we're really sad that we couldn't do Captain America more, so we're just doing the Thunderbolts instead. And I'm like, okay, cool, that's fine.
So Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing are going to be paired up with Gerardo Borges on art, and basically it's the Winter Soldier is the lead in this, as allied with Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine to lead a new Thunderbolts team. This new team includes Black Widow, Sharon Carter, White Widow, Red Guardian, U.S. Agent, and Shang-Chi.
We love MCU synergy.
That was Black Widow, White Widow. Wait. You need both?
Right.
Every issue, at least two characters from this lineup join Bucky and the Contessa for one operation. This will be the part of the 4-part arc World Strike. This is the first arc. And this is also a mini-series, because if it doesn't sell, there will be no arc 2. So they're just not telling you it's a mini-series or an ongoing, just in case it sells well.
And again, the writers being like, hey guys, we love to do more stories, but you need to buy the book. They literally said, you have to buy this book, or this is only going to be a 4-issue miniseries. And that's unfortunately, the reality of most, like Brandon said, most books these days.
For sure.
Do you have any more of the plot, or is that it?
That's it.
Okay, so the actual plot is they're going to try to kill the Red Skull once and for all. They're tired of the Red Skull being a Nazi, living in a world. They're like, yo, we're just going to take him out once and for all. We're tired of him living. Nazis suck. So that idea is great. I'm fine with that idea. These writers are incredible. I loved I didn't read all of it, even though it's short. But their Captain America run's great. Their Guardians run so far has been really fun. I've only read the first issue because of its Marvel Unlimited. 3 months behind. I'm totally down with them writing a Thunderbolts book. This is, besides Shang-Chi, this is the entire cast from the movie. Right. The entire cast. White Widow's Yelena Belova. This is just that. And nobody's going to buy this book because I'm the only person out of us 4, not including Ben, who has bought a Thunderbolts book probably in the last 10 years, to be honest. That's not an indictment of you guys. Nobody reads the Thunderbolts anymore because they're not the team they used to be. They used to be dope, and now they're just a Suicide Squad. I'm sure that's so fair. Yeah, this book is probably going to be really fun. It's going to last 4 issues, and then we're never going to talk about it again, just like the last 3 Thunderbolts series that have been canceled before issue 12 in the past 4 years.
I will say, I know they're going for the MCU synergy, but it does feel like the writers and all that, but there's not a commitment, it feels like, to a thrust of a story that's saying, you really should pick this up. It doesn't feel like it has that weight to it to try and pull in readers.
The hook isn't good enough for me. We've tried to kill the Red Skull a bunch. These are all of these are like relatively the same type of character. It's a problem I have with the MCU Thunderbolts. It's like they're all just superpowered people basically, or just spies.
Last time they killed the Red Skull, he became the Red Onslaught and did Axis.
Yeah, and that was like almost 10 years ago at this point, and we don't want it. We don't need that again. It was like 2015. Yeah.
Oh.
I'm sure this book will be a great 4-issue miniseries, but like this is like the comic book synergy that I truly hate. I'm like, there's no reason that this Thunderbolt team should exist when I just wish you could turn to the Thunderbolts of ye old. Like when villains like secretly trying to be heroes. Like
it does feel like it too much hand on the wheel from above, where I don't believe this is the team the writers would want to take to the story. And if I felt like it was the team they wanted to take to the story, and I felt like they had control of like, we're doing something here with these characters. We have a reason we want to navigate this specifically. Not to say that they won't do a good job with writing it, but I feel like if I felt more like we've handpicked every character in this because we have a vision, I would be more intrigued.
So they did say so yes and no to that, because they weren't allowed to continue Captain America. Right. And they did say in their long Twitter post of like, hey, we wanted to continue Captain America and we couldn't, so they allowed us to take the characters from Captain America and put it into the Thunderbolts book. So partially it is them still using Sharon Carter, Bucky, those characters. Right. But it is also, hey, you also need to include the Black Widow and the Red Guardian and Shang-Chi for some reason. Right. Why is Shang-Chi in this book? He's not a bad guy whatsoever. Whatever.
Shang-Chi has... I don't know this for sure, but I know that their excuse is that I guess Shang-Chi has been part of a Thunderbolts team in the past.
Okay, sure.
I don't know what that is. I didn't really look into it.
I can't. If he has, it's probably one of like the newer ones that was canceled again, and that's just like, hey, we need bad guys to be our good guys, like the Suicide Squad. But Shang-Chi, you guys saw the movie. He's a good guy. So I don't get that one. Maybe it's a story I missed. Who knows?
All right. Certainly nothing. I don't want to do a bit. Miss Marvel, the New Mutant.
Yeah.
The last thing we'll talk about in the comics. Miss Marvel, the New Mutant, written by Saber Perzada, wrote Dark Web Miss Marvel.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
And Iman Vellani, who plays Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
Are going to be writing this book together with art by Carlos Gomez, who did Rogue and Gambit.
So good.
And Adam Gorham, who did Star Wars Darth Vader.
Two sensational artists.
This is going to be a 4-issue miniseries. Basically, after being brought back, as we knew was going to happen, via Krakoa and resurrection technology, Kamala is shocked to learn she is a mutant. Before she has a chance to come to terms with the revelation, the catastrophic fall of X will throw her world into chaos and a secret mission on behalf of the X-Men. So she's a mutant now.
She's also still Inhuman.
Yeah, so Iman says, I want to make it very clear that we are not retconning her Inhuman origin, only now there's a whole new label Kamala has to learn to accept.
Yeah.
And importantly, the cover showcases she still has her original powers.
Yes. I really appreciated that.
Yeah. So I don't hate this at all. Everything leading up to it I hate.
Yeah.
But if I'm just looking at this is a new Miss Marvel book. Written by the actor playing the character, also by Sabir, who's a really talented artist. Incredible art. I have no reason to hate this book. Again, I wish it didn't exist, but like in the terms of how we got here. But I have no problem with this book existing the way it is.
I want to spotlight that I'm happy for Iman Vellani getting to write it, but I'm really glad that it's a co-writing process and that she's not being thrown. This is mostly for her benefit than anything. I'm glad she's not being thrown to the wolves on her own.
Yeah.
Because she's never written a comic before that we've read, regardless of what she's written in her own time, we haven't been given that before. So I'm glad that she's kind of being assisted and guided and mentored through the process, because I feel like it would be a lot steeper of a judgment on her if she were by herself.
This kind of reminds me of when Paul Dano wrote that Riddler one-shot, and people apparently loved it. Like, apparently it's awesome. So, like, I have no problem with actors being involved with their characters.
The 4-issue miniseries, real quickly, but yes, there's actually a lot of this happening over at DC specifically.
Danny DeVito!
Wrote a Penguin one. Nicole Maines, Dreamer, Michael Dorn writing Steelworks.
That's right. That's right.
This is happening a lot.
No,
love it.
I'm glad. I'm glad that the opportunity exists for them. I think it's also coming from a place of like Iman being so young. It would just suck to have her like completely trashed and there on her own.
Oh, like
is
yeah,
what I
Twitter
mean.
would tear her apart. Yeah, because they're athletes.
I don't.
Yeah.
I'm glad that like they're giving her the opportunity to have someone stand by her side through this process.
Yeah.
I'm really grateful for that. I agree with like one of the big things was like the fear of the changing of the powers, and like from the cover that appears to not be the case.
And her outfit looks great. It's a great outfit. I like it. I like it.
I hate it.
That's fair.
Someone did a really great mock-up of it though, because like it's just an X-Men outfit with the small little, like how I have Thanos' head here. It's like a small little lightning.
Mm-hmm.
Someone made a mock-up where the lightning is bigger.
Yeah.
I prefer that. I don't like that this is the secondary icon because that's who she is.
I will agree with that. I just think I'm glad it still feels like a Kamala Khan outfit while also being an X-Men outfit. I do agree with the lightning bolt should be
that was generally like my big problem with it too, Brandon.
Yeah.
Just so you know, like I also felt like that's a part of her identity, and like having that minimized is the only part of the costume I didn't like. But trying to be optimistic and again, like Ryan has said, we all hate how we got here. The exact minutia of how we ended up here sucks. But the X-Men line has been overall very strong. Having Kamala in those stories now will hopefully give the character more opportunity and storyline and possibilities than she's been given in the past like 5 to 6 years.
Because if like I know we know this, but if you don't know this, like Kamala Khan was originally going to be a mutant, and then because of all the Fox nonsense, she had to become an Inhuman with the big Inhumans push. So like, I like the Inhumans. Fine. A lot of people like the Inhumans. Fine. Most people don't give a shit about the Inhumans. This is a better move for Kamala. Not her central core cast of her family and her friends like Bruno, but the bigger world. She doesn't need to be hanging out with Black Bolt. What does she have in common with Black Bolt as opposed to Kitty Pryde, who's like a young person who can relate to things like that? Like it makes
she hasn't hung out with Black Bolt in a while. She's associated mostly with the Champions now, right?
Yeah,
which I really
which
like.
are Avengers.
But the Champion stuff is cool. Like, and I'm glad that she had that opportunity. But this does leave like I do think that there is now a path to a stronger interest and resurgence into Miss Marvel having her own standalone stories.
And being feared for who she is can now work doubly, her being a mutant.
Or like standalone connected to the X-Men, I should say.
So real quickly, I just want to read this last bit, which is fans will finally start to learn the truth about Kamala's mutant and Inhuman identity in the upcoming X-Men Hellfire Gala #1, which will be later this month.
Hell yeah!
So my thing here, I don't hate it. I really don't. I'm glad to have Kamala back, and Iman writing it is very interesting. Do you fear her getting lost in the X-Men line? And I fear her not having an ongoing title again, because this is only a 4-issue miniseries.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's fine for Iman to write, but like I would rather them have announced it as an ongoing.
My fear
what
is
I want to see from her again.
Yeah, my fear is what they did with Shang-Chi for years. They gave him multiple miniseries before he just got an ongoing, which he now has. Yeah. He had 2 4 or 5-issue miniseries before they just gave him an ongoing. And I don't know why. I think it's just because it's stupid sales shit. But like, I think this is just, hey, this is the series that is reintroducing her. I think she will get a #1 relaunch sometime later, but I agree, it should just be now.
I will say that I think the purpose of the 4-issue thing is the X-Men titles are selling so well, and if you are an X-Men person who has not been reading Miss Marvel, they want you to get your taste to see if you want to engage with Miss Marvel and not feel like there's pressure to pick up another ongoing right now, but just, hey, here's a 4-issue, want to get on board? And then like I said, I just think she's in a better position because of this and where we are right now to have an ongoing than she was before, because they clearly didn't give a shit before.
Her being tied to the X-Men gives her a better chance of having an ongoing, to be honest.
Well, I hope so, and it is just a fear that she gets lost in the line.
No, I hear you.
Part of an obscure team that we never see for many issues.
Oh,
I'm sure that's not the case because of how popular she is and the background flack that they got for killing her.
Yeah.
That is a fear that I have with.
No, I feel you. again, this is the absolute worst way you could have done this, but I think what they were trying to do is position her to be even bigger than she was before because she was an Inhuman. With her being a mutant, she really can be like a #1 character. And I think they went about it the wrong way, but her being an X-Men character will give her the leverage that she deserves and allow her to operate in the bigger space as well, I think.
And I can't stress enough that I'm glad they're not changing her powers.
Yeah, that's honestly,
the
once I
biggest
found that
thing.
out, I was like, again, getting here is shitty. Like, I'm really excited to try this miniseries out. I want to see if Amon's got it as a writer. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. She's clearly has a passion for that character. Like her under the head photo that she took at a comic book store holding the death of Miss Marvel.
I'm dead. What's really funny is, Brandon, you might have saw this, but for people listening, there's a QR code in the back of that Fallen Friend one-shot, and when you take a picture of it, it brings you to Marvel.com, but it wasn't ready yet, so it said, soon, but not yet. It was just a black, like, gravestone thing of, like, you went to a thing, but it's still not ready yet, so it was a QR code to nothing. And I'm like, wow, great marketing, y'all. Great marketing.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Borderlands.
Oh, speaking of great news...
There was a report that came out a while ago that the movie is being written by Eli Roth and someone named Joe Crombie, which was assumed to be a pseudonym, a fake name for Craig Mazin.
Yeah.
Apparently, it is a name that he has been associated with before.
But not on the superhero movies or the Scary Movie 4 to show you the quality of Borderlands. I'm just saying.
Right. So Borderlands. So Craig Mazin. But we haven't heard about Borderlands in a long time.
Yeah.
It's been a while since they went through reshoots.
Yeah.
So Craig Mazin has, he says, I am not a credited writer on the film, so I cannot claim any kind of authorship of Borderlands, much less co-writing. He's basically saying, that's not me. I don't write under a pseudonym.
This movie is in such bad shape. I cannot. This is awful.
Yeah,
This is crazy.
It seemed like it was going like hot and strong for a long time, and now it might be a dud.
So like they did their initial shoot, and then whatever they ended up with was awful. Just terrible shit. So they were gonna do reshoots, and then with the pandemic and just like Eli Roth coming on board and Tim Miller doing reshoots and all this stuff.
Now the strikes. Like,
if this movie comes out, I will be surprised. Honestly, like not many movies get to this point where production hell is so bad it won't even come out. This movie was supposed to come out like a year ago.
Yeah, it's...
And it's got Jamie Lee Curtis and Kevin Hart and Cate Blanchett and Jack Black as the leads. How bad is this movie?
That's what I'm so confused about.
It's Indiana Jones in space, guys. What is going on?
After we heard about the reshoots happening, we stopped hearing about this movie.
Yeah.
They just put it under lock and key. They're like, we're not talking about this. It doesn't exist. Don't worry about it.
This is going to be like a straight to streaming, like something for sure. Like this is really bums me out because like this is a really cool idea. It is Indiana Jones, but like in space. Like you're after a space vault.
Right,
it's really
for sure.
cool.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Rip.
Ron Aries has cast Sarah Desjardins and Cameron Monaghan. Oh, I forgot to look up where Sarah was from. Some credits that we. So yeah, they've been cast in the new Tron film, Tron 3. So with Jared Leto and what I talked about last time.
Oh my God! It's Callie from Yellow Jackets.
Nice.
One of the great characters from Yellow Jackets is in Tron Legacy. Nope, Tron Ares.
Ron Aries.
She would have been a baby.
Woo! That's cool. Yeah, it's a strong, outside of Jared Leto, it's a strong cast. I'm just like, I don't know, man. If you're not following Tron Legacy, should I care?
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. And then a new casting announcement happened for Superman Legacy.
Yeah, it did.
Isabella Merced from Dora and the Lost City of Gold, and will soon star in Madam Web and Alien, Alien Romulus next year. The movie, Fede Alvarez's movie.
Yeah.
He's cast as Hawkgirl. That's exciting, honestly. Eddie Garthega has been cast as Mr. Terrific.
You'll remember him from Twilight.
Actually, you'll remember him as Darwin, the X-Men character who can't die, and he died in X-Men First Class.
That too.
That's where he's really not from.
He do them? Did he do the movie, the show? Not them. From? Whatever horror movie with one word that doesn't make any sense.
It's not From, because I watched 2 episodes of From. It's not him.
Okay, it's not From. Okay, anyway, it's Nathan Fillion. has been cast as Guy Gardner,
Yeah, all right.
Green Lantern. He will have the bowl cut.
Yeah. I appear
Will
to
he
be the
have
only
red hair?
person who's fine with it.
I don't mind. This is the only one that I don't really care for. I don't mind Nathan Fillion as a Green Lantern, honestly, because
He's been Hal Jordan in voices for a while.
and he's been fan cast as Hal Jordan for decades. So like, if you wanted to do him as a Green Lantern, if you're gonna do an older Green Lantern who's paired up with Mr. Terrific and Hawkgirl, the JSA members, I'm just saying, could have been Alan Scott. That could have been cool. And have this, and you have him kind of be who is the hot mouth, the loud mouth, kind of brash, kind of cocky Guy Gardner, and Fillion himself, who is in his 50s, being this character, kind of make me believe that we're probably not going to get a lot of this character in the future.
Yeah. Here,
So that kind of sucks, because we're also doing the Green Lantern show, which will be Hal and John.
Yeah.
So
Right.
why isn't it Hal, or why isn't he Hal?
I think because
Because I think Hal's going to be younger.
yes, yeah, definitely that. Because
Why is Guy the old one? That's just so weird.
because this is the new universe and it's you know he could not be Hal because that's just like the generic, like, hey, of course it'll be Hal, that's easy, we're not, and that's we need somebody bigger to be Hal, who is our main Green Lantern. Guy Gardner, despite being some people's favorite, is not a lot of people's favorite Green Lanterns. Some people don't like that character at all because he is a hothead and he's a jerk a lot of times. I think Nathan Fillion is a perfect choice for a character that we won't see a lot of, but he is a shitty guy who gets punched by Batman every once in a while. I think he's perfect for that. This is very much like friendship nepotism, and I don't mind it. Like, this is the highest profile thing Nathan Fillion has ever done, and like, that dude is in his 50s, and he's never had a starring role in a huge movie like that. Like, I think it is cool that he finally gets to be a big Green Lantern, even if he's still not the big Green Lantern. It is, I'm totally happy seeing him with a bowl cut, and he'll appear a little bit. Is he my first choice? No. But like, I specifically Guardians of the Galaxy 3, like the asshole shitty security guard he played, I'm like, oh yeah, Guy Gardner, sure.
That's not Guy Gardner though.
Sure.
Because like, Guy Gardner is a loudmouth, and Fillion is snarky and can
He can be a loudmouth.
I
Nathan Drake!
think so.
He was-
Nathan Drake isn't. He's not Nathan Drake. He did that one thing where he's not even a loudmouth in that.
Sure. Nathan Drake is quipping nonstop.
But Guy Gardner's not a quipper.
Okay.
Like, I love Guy. I love all the Green Lanterns. Like, that Nathan Fillion. There are actors. The guy who would be perfect. This is only something that people with intimate knowledge of Gurren Lagann would get. But like, the guy who played the blonde in the kind of banana shaped Gurren.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Mhm.
He's Guy.
Sure.
That's Guy Gardner.
Yeah.
Where you're loud and you're abrasive and you're in your face and you're mean funny. He's not snarky and quiet funny, and that's really all I've ever seen Nathan Fillion do.
I
Which
would
works for him.
recommend-
He's a funny guy.
That's true. I would recommend watching James Gunn's Slither, where he is very much a cop who is like that.
Sure, I haven't seen Slither. That's fair.
I just think I think it's personally great. And Guy Gardner, he's not going to be in this universe a lot, I don't think. I think this is a introduction to the Green Lantern Corps. What the Superman Legacy movie is, it's an introduction to the entire DCU in different capacities and smaller ways. So, like, I'd rather it be this than Hal, because, like, I don't want Hal Jordan in my Superman movie. I want a lesser scale Green Lantern to introduce stuff. But that's me. You know, we got so many more castings to talk about.
Brox, you were going to say something?
I don't have very strong feelings about Guy Gardner. I think that in general, just I would rather that Nathan Fillion's not Hal. I'll say that.
Yes, 100%.
I think my idea of him being Alan Scott is brilliant, personally. Older Green Lantern, you've already got 2 members of the JSA in your movie.
We just had the JSA.
I'm not gonna say that, like, straight actors can't play queer characters, because that's not, like, we should never know.
That's right.
We should
Alan's
never.
gay now.
Well, I was gonna say, like, we should never know. You have to know someone's sexuality in order for them to play a role. That's not how it should go.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that I would kind of prefer that it wasn't someone who is Nathan Fillion. And so clearly who Nathan Fillion is playing Alan Scott.
I also see
from my
Alan Scott like
perspective.
more of like a gentleman, and I don't really get that from Nathan Fillion.
Fair.
Here, what I will say is I agree with your point that this Green Lantern maybe should be Alan Scott. I agree with that point.
Sure.
I also don't think that should be Nathan Fillion.
Yeah.
That's my other end of that.
Eric Jacobi as Alan Scott. We did it.
James Gunn did say in an interview that Nathan Fillion's casting was mostly an excuse to force his good friend to get a stupid-looking haircut.
I'm excited for it. I love... He loves to make his friends look dumb. I love it.
Anthony Carrigan, finally on this one, Anthony Carrigan has been cast as Metamorpho.
This is dope. I love this.
It was Victor Zsasz in Gotham. He's
Yes.
a great Victor Zsasz.
He
honestly.
is also an Emmy-nominated actor as NoHo Hank in Barry for the last 5 years.
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up the Zsasz one because it's the
DC
DC
connection?
connection.
Sure.
and it is great as Zsasz. He's got such a cool face for that character. But yeah, Barry, where he won an Emmy. Yeah, good. I like him. I'm glad that this casting.
Half the world didn't... I love Twitter. I love being on Twitter, and people are like, who the hell is this character? And I'm like, that's how I know James Gunn's about to make a good movie. He's not just picking, we're just going to get the Trinity. Let's just get the Trinity in our Superman movie. I'm like, no, bro. You're going to, like... With all of these different castings, with Hawkman, Mr. Terrific, Metamorpho, Guy Gardner, we are going to touch every aspect of the DC universe in this movie in some small capacity, whether it's technology, Darkseid shit,
Don't forget that,
Argus, The Outsiders.
The Authority?
The Authority,
is supposed
yeah.
to be established already?
Yeah. So this is... I'm so excited for this movie, and I understand people are skeptical because, I just wanted a Superman movie. And I 100% understand and get that. James Gunn...
I'm not totally there, but I'm kind of there.
No, and I feel that. James Gunn has never made a movie that follows one person his entire career. He is a person who works in ensembles, and you can still have a main character in an ensemble. Not so much the Guardians movies, but every other movie he has a lead with an ensemble cast that's around them. So having it be Superman, this new, bright character show up in this world with pre-established characters, a lot of them darker, more mature, it feels like the opposite of a Doomsday Clock. It feels like Rebirth. We're getting Rebirth of the movie, essentially. And I'm really, 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 really excited about that. Because Superman's going to come into a world where the Outsiders might already exist with Metamorpho, the JSA might already exist with Hawkgirl, the Authority definitely already exists with them killing fools, and Superman's like, I just want to save people and have a good time. And, I'm so excited for that. I think that's an incredible idea. It's the anti-Snyder approach, and I'm really Jones for it.
I don't want to say that I'm not excited for James Gunn's
Yeah.
Superman Legacy. I love every James Gunn movie. There's no reason for me to think that I won't love this one. On paper, when I see these other superhero members, and I get that they're not, big hitters here, but, the idea of him playing... James Gunn even said, James Gunn is talking about how he's going to... He felt it was disingenuous to not represent the superhero side of Superman, hit that superhero life plus his work life with Lois. And I'm like, kind of would have rather have you just done because I think it's both. I think Superman balancing his superhero life and his work life doesn't need other superheroes to do.
Sure.
Like I said, there's really no reason for me to be against this. I like every James Gunn movie.
Yeah.
I have no reason to believe I wouldn't.
The
like
thing,
this one.
because I want you to get in here, Sparks.
Sure.
The thing that I'm thinking of is, remember the first episode of My Adventures with Superman? Remember that, but there's just a couple more superheroes involved, and that's what I'm imagining this movie is. It is Superman coming into this world, in a pre-established world, and him having to navigate it, and yeah, I guess there is a world where I would rather just have this is the Superman movie, but also
You brought up My Adventures of Superman.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Absolutely. But
I got that, so I really shouldn't want that again. But
Sure.
that's kind of where I was hoping.
I don't want to do the MCU where we have to wait 12 years to have a universe built. I think it's a great idea to have an established universe that we can build around. And this feels like a really good way to do it.
I think it's very we're so naturally inclined to the idea that Superman's the first superhero,
Yeah.
and that's how everything is. But DC Comics and stuff has run long enough that we know that there were plenty of superheroes before Superman, and whether they were on Earth or not, all this kind of stuff was going on before Superman.
Green
And,
Lanterns, yeah.
But no film has approached it that way before, especially obviously the most recent Man of Steel, and so I find it a really interesting take to put Superman in a position where we are actively from the jump engaging with how does Superman find his place inside the world of superheroes, and what will make Superman special among them, because they already exist, rather than everybody just kind of looking to him because he was first.
Absolutely, yes.
And I think
it brings out this outsider purview that James Gunn likes to play with in all of his movies.
Yeah, and I think that creates there's this idea inherently, I think, that you are challenging and make Superman a little more complex for this iteration about Superman does everything he does in the other movies because he is either the only hero or he's the first hero, and he's the guy who's got to step up to the plate. But you can make an argument in the case of this one where other superheroes are present that Superman doesn't have to go to every emergency because other superheroes exist. And so it becomes a question of like, how is Superman amongst that kind of dichotomy, and where does he negotiate his personal life and being Superman amongst that? And I think that might be the take. And again, like, I think part of the trajectory of what Gunn would want to do with the character over the course of his DC universe that he's building is how does Superman go from entering this world of superheroes to being the guy that everyone looks to as Superman, because now it's not just like everyone loving Superman because Superman showed up first, but it'll be the world falling in love with Superman because of who he is.
What's that animated movie? It's Superman and the Elite. I was going to say the Superman and the Authority. Superman and the Elite. That's also what this is going to be. It's going to be a world where maybe they don't hold their punches, and Superman's like, maybe put a little more love behind those punches. And it's like the world becoming more like Superman, and as opposed to being more like, again, like the Snyderverse. And I'm like, that is such an awesome idea.
There's very much an opportunity of like, especially when you look at someone like Guy Gardner being on the table here, that there will be a situation where how Guy is going to handle it, and Superman will come in, and part of the reason why he'll succeed is not necessarily because Superman's the strongest, but because of Superman's compassion.
Absolutely.
And I think that might be what the set dressing of this allows. So I'm more or less for a different interpretation. I like you said very accurately, Brandon, like, we have no reason to distrust this because James Gunn's been very good at what he does. I think that there is more potential on the table here by taking a divergent path from what we're used to, and I trust that can win out with something special. I don't think that these other characters are going to subsume the fact that this is a story about him.
Absolutely.
You mentioned, Ryan, that this is we guys talked about mostly, but this is a world where Superman has to come into a pre-established world. Technically, Man of Steel becomes that because it's retconned that almost every superhero had been around before him.
Yeah.
So to have, it's kind of doing that, but better. You know, it was the appeal of the DCEU when it was good was, oh, this is already a world full of superheroes that could just come in and out.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we always liked about the DCEU. So we're it's kind of nice that we're just keeping that going. I
don't want them to do just another MCU where we have to establish a character before we can do all this. Like, with James Gunn being as good as he is, you can create a universe in one movie and build from there. And with him being the head of DC, doing all this, writing the script, and he says it's like the best script he's ever written, and I believe him. James Gunn is not someone who lies on the internet for no reason, except when it's The Flash. James. I'm just saying. But I believe the stuff that he works on. I believe his word. So like, just like, man, it's like Metamorpho and Hawkgirl and Mr. Terrific are going to be in a movie. This is truly like the most DC movie. Like, I'm so excited.
I am excited about that casting. But yeah, like we talked a lot about Philly, but I really, sorry, Brandon, can I just, I really do like the casting of these other actors as these characters. I think that they're good casting choices for these characters. And I'm intrigued to see how their performances will be. And I'll only spotlight that I'm excited about Hawkgirl, and it just made me remember how sad I am that we're probably never seeing Aldous Hodge as Hawkman again. Regardless of that movie, he was a great casting choice.
He was, yeah. It is, this never means anything, but James Gunn follows a bunch of DC people on Instagram and Threads and Twitter and stuff, and one of them was Batgirl herself. So like, this could be a thing where like some of these things could come back around. Sure. Because James Gunn is the type of creator who like values that shit.
He said that he's going to keep a handful of heroes already when he talked about Blue Beetle. Isabella Merced being Hawkgirl actually makes me very happy because I really like her.
I do too.
I think she's great as Dora. That movie, by the way, absolutely rules. I'm not just saying that.
No, we've talked about it.
Isn't she talked about it before? The Scrapper girl in
Pacific Rim 2.
Pacific Rim 2.
Transformers 5.
They're similar characters. It's Transformers 5. Yeah.
Well,
cool.
It's a garbage movie. I put that out in my brain a lot faster. But she's great in Dora. You're right, because Dora's a very good movie.
Hell yeah.
I'm excited for the next. She's doing Madam Web and Alien Romulus.
I'm excited about one of those.
I'm actually more excited for Madam Web than I am Craven, and I haven't even seen a trailer for Madam Web.
I mean, yeah, but yes, but we were comparing it to Alien, and I'm more excited for Alien.
Oh, yeah. Fede Alvarez's Alien is hopefully gonna be really cool.
I have a lot of faith.
That's that. Trailers.
Oh, trailers. Well, I guess it's time.
Trailers.
Welcome to the trailer park.
All right, we're starting with Napoleon.
Napoleon.
Hey guys, you know what's cool? Revolutions. We're going through one right now in America.
Oh boy.
You know who sucks? Napoleon. I love a good historical biopic, guys. I like back in my teenage years, like they were honestly some of my favorite shit. Like like Alexander, Troy, all those big movies, but like Napoleon. What a fascinating. He's not short enough, I will say. I love a short king. Joaquin Phoenix is like 6'1". What are we doing here? I think Ridley Scott, man, like he's just been killing it. Like even though I haven't seen the last couple of his movies, he's still killing it. The dude's 85 years old, still putting out epic, giant ass like movies with real extras and like horses. And I'm like, yeah, man, this is a movie. This is like a real ass movie.
Got Vanessa Kirby, who I always love to see.
Yeah, Emma Frost.
Yeah, I really like what's on the table here. It's nice to see actually a historical epic on this scale again, and I won't it looks like a movie, which is really nice. Just like there's a lot of dark scenes, as you can see, and the lighting's very good.
Yeah. Yes, it is. It's very good.
It just looks really well crafted, and I'm kind of into going and seeing like this kind of scale of a film again. It's been a minute since something like this has come out.
Yeah.
So I'm really intrigued by it, and Joaquin Phoenix tends to deliver. So
always.
Yeah. I think it's cool.
Yeah, I'm not too crazy about historical epics these days, but I don't remember too much about Napoleon, so I'll check this one out. I haven't seen a Ridley Scott in a while.
More than anything, I'm appealed to just a film on the scale. Like we're talking about, like the battlefields with the horses and everything. I'm like, it's been a while since I've seen a film put out on this scale before.
Napoleon was a genius tactician, and like it is featured in the trailer. But like one of his most famous battles is like the way he deceived people and go into Russia, and he like made a kill box and like froze a bunch of people in the ice, and like that. Like I remember that from history because like that's the dopest thing I've ever heard. And, like to see it in like a huge scale and like it look real. I'm like, holy shit, man, war's crazy.
Yeah.
Like it looks damn good. And again, Joaquin Phoenix, like I love a good shithead, and Napoleon was one of the biggest and the smallest.
On this one, the biggest.
This one, the biggest. Yeah.
What's next?
Oh no, it's not that.
It is Birth.
Rebirth. Ooh, we love a good Frankenstein story here. Where's Ben?
Yeah. This is cool. I'm glad when Shudder takes swings like this, and this is a really small scale but really effective looking.
Yes,
film.
very evocative. Oh yeah.
There's something about the part where she's like. The young girl is like crawling back to like she's revived and she's crawling. And
she's
on the floor,
moaning.
And you're hearing the moaning, groaning. So it's all about this mom wanting to find out what happened to her daughter and learning that someone is actually conducting experiments to revive the dead, a la Frankenstein style.
Yeah. So her daughter died, and then she finds this nurse that she had a previous exchange with, and turns out the nurse has revitalized her dead daughter, and she's like
coroner, I think.
Coroner.
Actually.
There you go. Thank you. Yeah. And it's got, I don't remember her name, but she's from Scrubs, and I haven't seen her in anything in a long time.
Played Carla, yeah.
Yeah, Carla. I think it just looks really spooky, and yeah, it looks like small budget, but like really, really good.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited for this. I love the vibes it's giving. I love the Frankenstein-ness of it all. You posted this on Twitter, Ryan. This is how I found this trailer, by reminding of Victor Lavelle's
Destroyer.
Destroyer. Yeah, very similar kind of vibes I'm getting here.
Yeah,
sure.
Modern day interpretation a little bit. Yeah, I'm. This pig died 2 days ago, and he's right here.
Yeah.
A story that Mary Shelley would be proud of. Yeah, I think it just like the vibes are awful in the best way. I'm all about it.
All right, next, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot 23rd World Tournament. This is the DLC coming to
Kakarot.
Dragon Ball Z Kakarot.
Yes. I just wanted to spotlight this because, first off, I'm just really glad that Kakarot's going backwards in the storytelling now and adding in stories from Dragon Ball. But also because this functionally has removed flying. Like, you'll see characters are up in the air, but they are up in the air for special abilities or, like, jumps, but they cannot fly around the arena. And it's the largest the tournament arena has ever looked before, because they really want you to use the size and scale and feel the pressure of what the tournaments felt like when you were watching Dragon Ball, rather than what they become in Dragon Ball Z. And I find that just so... No Dragon Ball game has done this before. They haven't gone... like back, well, okay, like there have been Dragon Ball games for like the handheld systems and stuff, but the tournament stuff has not been this complex in its thought creation for the fights before, and it's just so different to see a Dragon Ball game doing this, where you have to think about being inside of this tournament scale and not having the maneuverability that you're used to.
Can ring out in this. Which I thought was really interesting. You could actually push someone out of the ring and win.
You have to you want to try and do ring out.
Yeah, here,
They,
right here.
they've had those. They have had those in the other games too as well.
Right, like that's been there, but like for a story component, like you have two ways to win the fight. You can
Yeah.
either deplete the health or you can ring out, and that's going to be like they're doing the full tournament arc. Like we're seeing some of the fights here, some of the big moments, but they are doing like you're going to go through all the tournament matches. Like Yamcha's in this fight, in this tournament. Jackie Chun's in this tournament, Krillin's in this tournament. Like you're going to be playing all through all these characters at the different points in the story and having to compete in all the different things. I think it's a really cool idea to do the arc this way. I just want to spotlight that.
Actually, this is the most I've been excited for Kakarot, because I actually really like this gameplay mechanic of taking out the flight.
Yes.
Just doing this tournament arc as it was on the show. Like, it really makes you feel like you're watching you're doing the show again.
It also looks really good. Just like visually, I think it looks really good. But it's really cool that they're willing to like take away tools you have at other points in the game of Kakarot. Like you usually have flying, you usually have different abilities, and they're like, we're reducing you back, so that the pressure's on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all.
All right. What's next? Sorry, this thing went to sleep.
Hellboy.
Hellboy Web of... Is it weird?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because when they do, like, WYRM, it's worm, and I never understood that.
It's just that's like Nordic languages, and like using Y's instead of I's and Y's and U's.
It's that the Y is defined more by the letters that come after than the letter itself.
So this is not a long trailer, but it's our first look at gameplay for this Mignola Hellboy game.
Yeah, I love this animation style. We've talked about it before, but I do like the design so much.
Yeah. On the Basement Arcade Quarterly, one of the comic book video games coming out. Yeah, this is my upstream arcade. This is going to be a over-the-shoulder brawler with like dodge mechanics. I can't imagine this is going to be longer than like 6 to 8 hours with the type of game this is. But Lance Reddick, one of his last performances as Hellboy, if you listen to the trailer, his voice is there.
Right.
Looks really cool. I'm very into I love the art style. Very much like cel-shaded Mignola look. So
I want to shout out, because I missed it just earlier when we were talking about Birth Rebirth. Grayson pointed out that it was Judy Reyes is the woman who played Carl.
Judy Reyes, thank you, love it. Yeah, I'm super into this game. I Xbox, so I'm gonna play it. Xbox, baby.
And PlayStation.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be on all. It's just that the Xbox got the trailer for this one because they were doing the Xbox event.
That is correct. It's coming to everything.
Yeah.
Twisted Metal.
Hey, Brandon, real quick, do you know who made this trailer?
You?
No, a high school friend of ours, Michael Yanoska.
Right, I did know that.
Yeah, he made this trailer with his marketing company, which I'm really happy for him. I think he did a great job.
So
it's a good trailer.
Before we talk about the trailer, when we saw the first clip of this at the Game Awards or Summer Game Fest, it looked awful. It was an awful clip. I have 3,000% turned around on this, and I think this looks stupid fun. They are not taking it seriously whatsoever. I've played most of the Twisted Metal games up to the PS3 era, and there is story mode stuff, but like it's like an arcade mode where you finish the story and then you get a character's arcade finish, right? So like it's about Nev Campbell is the bad guy of this thing. Spoiler alert, sorry, she's Calypso, she's the bad guy. She sends people on missions to get their wildest dreams to come true, and then she monkey paws it at the end. But this is basically a traversal like road trip show, which is not what Twisted Metal is, but is now turned into a road trip show, which makes sense because it's about car combat with Anthony Mackie,
yes,
Stephanie Beatrice, Thomas Hayden Church, who's just having a ball,
Nev Campbell,
Will Arnett, big clown man. I'm so on board.
Yeah, I really like this. I think that Anthony Mackie is being allowed to be the kind of funny that he's good at. And that is, like, one of the strongest things about the show is the fact that will be present. It's so important, I think, for doing something like this that the comedy will land with his character, and I really think that they're playing in his wheelhouse in such a good way.
Mm-hmm.
I was not, because like you guys said, the clip, I was not sold on this, and I was like, okay, I'll check this out. And then he does there's a Foot Locker, and I was like, oh shit, is this good?
Yeah.
And the whole trailer, like, completely sold me. I think this is a great trailer. I think this looks like a lot of fun. I think it looks very funny. Stephanie Beatrice and Anthony Mackie are a pair I didn't know I needed in my life.
Sure.
And I'm so excited for it. I thought this was really funny. I thought this looks really fun.
Jason Mantzoukas also in here for some reason. Love the Zook.
I'm really excited for this, actually.
Yeah, it's so like post-apocalyptic, like, cities have built walls around them, and then all the prisoners are outside, and they just do vehicular combat for fun. There's one shot at the end where I'm like, where is it? It is just Twisted Metal. We'll find it eventually, but like, Twisted Metal is a vehicular combat game where you're trying to get first place and you're killing cars. It's like Mario Kart, but like way more murderous. And that's what I want the show to be. I don't need every episode to be that, but like, there's one specific shot that I don't think we're gonna get to. Oh, here it is. It's just I want that. It is Demolition Derby. There are 20 cars fighting each other in a big parking garage, and I'm like, if we get some of that, I'll be happy with the rest of the show.
I also want to spotlight just, like, I think the color and just the production value of a lot of the set and visuals that we're seeing is really nice.
Yeah.
It just looks like a pleasant show to look at.
The budget looks good. Which is surprising.
You get used to. I certainly feared, like, something that, because they're doing, like, Dreary Apocalypse stuff, like a lot of gray coming in, but like, it's very, very diverse in its color range, and I'm really grateful for it.
Absolutely. Big surprise. Big surprise, this one.
Surprise.
Yeah.
Pod Generation.
Before I watched this trailer, I thought it was going to be about podcasting.
I thought it was Pop Generation when I first saw it. I saw the title, so I was like, oh, is this a documentary about pop figures?
Yeah. I would never watch that.
I really like this. Emilia, the way I found this is Emilia Clarke sharing it and like writing something very personal about how much it meant to her to make this movie at this moment in her life. And it seems like something very unique, very personal about both her character and Chiwetel Ejiofor's character. And this idea of being a natural birth parent or not, and how technology can scare you, and the desire for family and what that means going forward in this technological future and all that kind of stuff. I think it looks really unique and interesting and like a good character piece.
Yeah.
And we talk about like smaller budget films, and this looks like a smaller budget film I'm really appealed to.
Yeah. I love the idea. Like it is like, it's like in the very, very near future, and it's like people having to like use oxygen masks on their way to work because of the environment's so bad, and him living in nature because like nature is like leaving the planet in a way. Yeah.
I love the gestation period being something where everyone can outwardly now like kind of judge you as a parent early, because it's not just a mom carrying the baby inside of her. It's now this egg that the dad can take responsibility for, has to carry around, and everybody's kind of judging your parenting through that perspective for the entire 9 months for both of you. And I think that's also really interesting.
Absolutely. Very into it.
Wonka.
Flip that, scratch it, reverse it. I am so excited for this movie. I am so excited because it's the director of Paddington. I think the visuals are incredible. Every supporting actor I'm really excited for. I love Timothée Chalamet. That's not just because he's Emperor Paul Muad'Dib Atreides the First. I really hope there's a second trailer that shows that he's actually got some charisma, because boy howdy, I needed to watch this a second time because like it's almost like shocking how like charisma-less he appears in some of these shots.
I like literally everything about this movie except for Timothée Chalamet right now.
Yes.
And it's from the moment that he was cast as Wonka. I told you guys, like, I don't see it. Like, I just don't see it. I think he's good, but I don't see him as Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
And I'm all the more put off from it now that I know this is supposed to be young Gene Wilder.
Yes.
And I'm like, sorry, he isn't.
Yeah.
There's no way, and I really wish you weren't trying to lean into that idea, because it's not possible. He just doesn't seem like him at all.
So I'm with Ryan here. on the surface, this is directed by the director Paddington,
Mm-hmm.
with Sparks, because I really like the supporting cast here. There is a lot of this that I'm really excited for, but he just can't do whimsy.
And I
Just can't be whimsical.
And the thing is, like, I know he's done other projects where he has been like loosey goosey and like he's a very
Never this big.
never this big. But like I know he can be whimsical. But like much like because it's been going around, Brandon, because you're a Paddington lover like I. That first trailer for Paddington was also not very good. So I'm really, really hoping that like they just chose, unfortunately, the worst shots of him, because like I want to believe, because I know all the drama in the movie is going to be excellent. He is so good at being a dramatic actor. So like. I don't know, man.
I wish he was not limited by the constraints of the expectation of Gene Wilder's performance. I wish he were defining his own Wonka, and the fact that it like is living in that same space, I feel like hurts the movie more than helps it. Is specifically this, as much as I think this bit with Hugh Grant's Oompa Loompa is really, really funny, it does feel like it ties it so strongly to Gene Wilder's film, and thus makes me think about Gene Wilder's Wonka, and I'm like, Timothée Chalamet is just, he's not Gene Wilder. You can't. And I really wish he was allowed the freedom to make his own Wonka, because I would feel better about that.
I agree.
But the fact that he's trapped by that, I think, is all the more hurting him. But even looking past that, he doesn't feel like he belongs in the movie that I'm seeing literally everybody else in this trailer in. He just doesn't fit.
It's true. I tried so hard to just like let it wash over me, but they're like, his like, scratch that, reverse it, and I'm like, there's no Gene Wilder in there whatsoever. Not even a lick. Discover.
I hope it pulls it off, because I really like Paddington 1 and 2, and the director of the two Paddingtons, he didn't do Paddington 3 because he was doing this, so I want to believe it was worth it.
He stole Sally Hawkins from Paddington 3 to be in this movie.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I want to like this movie.
Yeah.
I really, really do. And I'm sure I'm going to like everything, but I'm not sure I'm going to like Timothée Chalamet.
I'm really hoping a second trailer can solve some of the because he is the star of it. If he doesn't work, that's gonna be
gonna be hard.
Whoop. Yeah.
Oh, actually, Brian, yes, we are at Blue Beetle now.
I'm not gonna play this trailer because it's 3 minutes and it shows the whole movie.
And I didn't watch it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's 3 minutes. It shows too much of the movie. They shouldn't have released it.
It looks really good. I really wish I didn't watch it because it shows a lot of the movie, and it shows this is a great trailer, which makes me think the movie is going to be really good. But so many of those like moments you wish you saw, like the moments you wish you saw in the theater, I saw in this trailer. Like 3 moments specifically, I'm like, this has been ruined for me. This incredible moment, specifically at the end. There's one great moment with the grandma where I'm like, I really wish I would have saw that in theater. It's really funny. And that's the entire trailer. So like, I'm so excited for Blue Beetle. It's over 3 minutes of the entire movie.
Ryan got to me before I watched it and told me like, I'm feeling really good about it. You shouldn't watch it.
I really like Blue Beetle. I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing here. I like the first trailer a lot. The first trailer sold me. This trailer still looks really good. Like, I just think it's too much of the movie, as Ryan said. But the other thing that really concerns me is I don't understand. I get not going to bat for Shazam. And when Gunn would be like, yeah, Shazam's a movie we're producing. Oh, The Flash is really good, though. He never goes to bat for Blue Beetle. He's like, hey, here's this one coming out.
Yeah, I'm
in 1 month.
I'm also nervous about. I'm hoping that as we get closer, he'll make more of a public push. The actor, I forget the name, who's playing him. He did share that James Gunn has said that he really enjoyed the film, and James Gunn didn't discredit that. So like, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
What's he gonna say? No, I hate your movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope so. I hope it's good. I'm excited for it.
Yep.
Guns. Why?
I do want Gunn. Like, if Gunn's gonna peddle the Flash, I hope Gunn champions this.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
That's why I never bought the Flash thing being like a company line thing, because he didn't do it for any of the others. He's not doing it for Blue Beetle or Shazam. He's just saying the Flash is really incredible.
Well, but I mean, like, it still can be a company line thing because Zaslav bet the bank on the Flash.
It's true.
The whole bank.
Fair.
The whole bank.
All right. Next is Star Wars Ahsoka.
Before I suck this trailer's dick, I do want to say there is a subsection of people who have not watched Rebels, and I feel bad for them because this really is a sequel to Rebels. Besides other stuff, like, there is a lot of, like, all of these characters, all of the stuff with Thrawn, like, this is one of the first, like, series where, like, it has baggage. It is hardcore baggage. So I am happy to be where I am, where I've taken it all in and I'm ready for it.
It's going to be a really interesting experience for us because we're going to be watching it with at least 2 people in this house who have not watched Rebels by the time that this starts.
And I'm sure they'll give
my mom is going to try and power it. But like my wife and her sister, like, probably not. So it's going to be really interesting to see, like, things that are going to mean so much to you and me, and they're just going to...
Yeah.
I just want to say one thing before we really get into it, which is there are space whales. They did the space whales. It's in this trailer. A space whale.
Yeah. Well, we saw the space whales in Mandalorian.
No, but we saw what this. It was right. It's a space whale.
It wasn't just a shadow. It was like a full.
That's a full ass Purgle.
We see the tentacles, and I'm like, oh, they did it. They did it.
This is the most excited I've been for a live action Star Wars show since Andor.
Yeah, 100%.
And I know Andor wasn't that long ago, but like this is the one that makes me feel like, oh shit, we're really doing it. We're really doing it.
It's called space whale.
Purgle.
The Purgles. Sabine's haircut. God, Thrawn looks good, which I'm so happy about. Sabine looks incredible. I love this idea of now knowing that Ray Stevenson had a some amount of connection with Anakin, and he's throwing that around on Ahsoka.
So we know, just because it's been released, this isn't a spoiler, they are Jedi who survived Order 66, and now they are mercenaries on the Outer Rim.
Right.
So, like, they are working with Thrawn in some capacity, which you see in this trailer. Like, there's a bunch of people gathering together to find Thrawn or whatever. So, 2-episode premiere.
I'm not confused about that.
Yeah.
I'm confused about who the Inquisitor is.
Yes. Yeah.
How did he survive? Not Order 66, because obviously we know how he survived that. But, like, at the time that we get to, I would assume there's no Inquisitors left.
I have to assume that it is not the actual, like, by name Inquisitor. They are just using their equipment because maybe they have it or some capacity.
Who knows, though? Who knows?
My biggest thing still, I'm still having trouble with Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka. I just don't think she's got it. She's very stiff and hollow as the character. But everything that I'm seeing here still looks really good and really what I want to see. So
I don't disagree with you that nothing has changed my mind about the fact that, like, I can accept that Ahsoka is just maybe a kind of a different character by the time that she's this age and everything.
Yep.
And, like, that's kind of what I have to live with. But you're right. Like, I just don't see the same character of Ahsoka as she's portrayed in Rebels and in Clone Wars in Rosario Dawson's performance. Like, they're not in sync enough to me, and it is one of those times where, like, I'm like, it's not bad enough to bother me, but it's also not great enough for me to celebrate, because I still live in a space where I'm like, I just Rosario Dawson got it from fan casting, and I still don't know if that was necessarily the right way to go. Because
I'm with you 100%.
Because I'm not there yet. Now, this show on its own is going to prove out, and honestly, I feel like it's going to stay in that kind of middle ground where I'm like, well, it's not garbage. Like, I don't hate it. I still kind of see Ahsoka here, but I also don't think, like, bam, you did it. You got it. Like, you nailed it in one. I don't think it's going to get to either of those points.
This does still look like a Disney Plus show, but this looks like the best looking Disney Plus show.
Right.
Like, they're still doing the volume. They're not, this isn't a movie level event. But it looks great. Like, it all looks really, really good.
More importantly, like, the practical stuff looks incredible, especially, like, the stuff on Hera, where we get a lot of footage of her here, and Hera looks great.
Once a rebel, always a rebel.
Chopper being present looks incredible.
I'm so excited for Chopper. So I don't... Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember Sabine being Force sensitive, and I wonder if it's going to be revealed that she is now, that she always was, but is being trained in the Force by Ahsoka, or is Ahsoka just continuing what Kanan was trying to do by just teaching her how to use a lightsaber?
I think it's that. I don't think they're gonna do a misdirect of, like, this character you know for so long is actually also a Jedi. I think they're just gonna continue the training. We see her try to use the Force and it doesn't work. I don't think it's gonna be a misdirect where she does have the Force. I don't think that adds value to Sabine as a character personally. She's a Mandalorian. Let her be a Mandalorian. She could be a Jedi Mandalorian. You know.
That's the thing. That's were because so much of Sabine's story was kind of paralleling the first Jedi Mandalorian.
Right.
That's why she had the Darksaber for so long.
Yeah.
So to kind of, so I'm kind of with you. Like, I don't think it's necessary to retroactively make her a Jedi as well, but I also kind of see the idea where, what if she was? Then she is in fact the first Jedi Mandalorian for thousands of years, and could help that.
Well,
Maybe bridge where we get the Mandalorian and Ahsoka here. You know?
that's what Grogu is.
That's right. Grogu is that.
We can't take away from Grogu's like entire trajectory. Like that's why I don't think she.
But she can be it first, and
Well,
Grogu can be it in
but
50 years.
Here's the thing: you can be force sensitive and
This
not
is the
be
same
a,
time period.
You can be force sensitive and not be a Jedi, which I think is also more possible. The story that they're going to explore is that, like, because we've had the ideas going forward with like the new trilogy that there are force sensitive people who just don't become Jedi, and don't become Sith, and like they kind of have their own relationship with the Force, and that can be Sabine's path. Sabine doesn't have to become a Jedi. Sabine can have her own dynamic that she engages with the Force with, and how that works, and it would make sense that Ahsoka is teaching her how to connect to the Force, but not necessarily how to be a
Use
Jedi.
it. Yeah.
I didn't mean to say. I use Jedi as a catch-all for Force user.
No, I get it. I get it. I'm not picking apart what you said. I'm responding to what I think is on the table here. That I think the story to tell is about someone who can have a relationship with the Force that isn't those things. And that might be the purpose of putting
Cheery from Rogue One.
Right.
He doesn't throw a blast, but he's connected to the Force.
Or the girl who we meet in Rise of Skywalker, who I don't remember the name of, and is implied to be Force sensitive, but never have picked any kind of side with that or anything.
Well, Grogu. Like Grogu's as Ryan said, Grogu's a Mandalorian, not a Jedi. So like, and I meant to say, I said that Grogu could pick up the path in 50 years because Grogu's still a toddler. Yeah. He's not going to lead the Mandalorians and unite the Mandalorian and Jedi. But Sabine could be that more readily. Now that said, I did not mean to get down into the rabbit hole because I actually don't think that's the case. I do think it is continuing Kanan's training. So that Sabine can use a lightsaber, and I don't think it's necessary to make her a Jedi. I just think that path is actually open. I would prefer if you didn't.
I think the path is open. I think that's the easy path, and I don't think Dave Filoni will take that.
I would honestly, I'm down for a path. That is what I said, like, where you pursue a character. Like, we've never had a focal character who is, like, outside of Rogue One, but even then that wasn't, like, one of our main characters that we're following on an arc, who is a person who has a relationship with the Force, can engage with the Force, can utilize the Force to an extent, but is not a Jedi, is not a Sith, has their own kind of way of connecting. And I think forming something new is fine. It's
so nice, Ezra, like, this is the 2-episode premiere. I have to imagine most of the stuff we're seeing is from the first 2 episodes. That's generally how a lot of these trailers come out. So like,
for sure,
we're seeing a lot of stuff. We're seeing Thrawn. We're seeing the Purgles. We're seeing the Inquisitor. So like, that's really exciting. That like, this isn't the entire season. Like, what's going on here? Is this the world between worlds? What's going on? What's going on? What's happening?
I don't think it's the world between worlds. I don't think we're going back.
I hope not.
I think Filoni even said they're not going back there, at least right now.
Yeah. I just think,
I'm excited for this.
I think it looks great. If Ezra does turn out to be that Inquisitor, that would be really spicy. But I don't think that's the case. That's just a fun theory.
Oh.
That's a fun theory because he is a skinny dude. That's a skinny person with that lightsaber.
People said it could be Starkiller, which I know that Filoni wanted to make Starkiller into an Inquisitor and Rebels, but I think the time has passed.
Oh yeah, I also think that might be past. Yeah.
Last trailer.
Ooh, goodbye, Ray Stevenson. I love you.
Godzilla -1. This is the new Godzilla film coming from Japan. It is going to be released in November. Once again, this is only a 30-second trailer, very like a mood piece, kind of giving us an impression of what this is going to be. So it's coming out in November in Japan, but Toho International looks like it is coming out in December in America, and it looks like it's going to be distributed by Toho International, which will be the first time they've distributed a film to America ever.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Because they normally just license movies to other companies.
They're making a big push for this one, I think.
Like that combined with the fact that they've opened a North American Godzilla store where you can buy everything that's in Japan but for American money, for North American prices. Like they're really pushing Godzilla into Western spaces, and I think that's really cool.
Yes.
on this trailer, I think this looks awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we don't see a lot, but the important thing was like more about like just the reveal of what this is, which is this post-war Japan. We're going all the way back, which we've never done
The
before.
40s.
We're going back to just after, really directly, it seems, just after the atomic bombing. At least that seems to be the indication.
Yeah, post-war.
And that putting Godzilla, even in the original Godzilla, it's still a while after the bombs.
Yeah.
So the idea that we're going back even closer to that proximity is really enticing. I love the fact that I'm glad we are not doing this. I love that Japan is getting an opportunity to, all these years later, do a new reassessment on Godzilla right at that moment in time and say there's an opportunity to say a lot. I talked about this with Ryan, where I think like part of the point of the title of -1 is the idea that Japan was kind of reset to a 0 point when the bombs happened and what happened in Japan, and the idea that Godzilla coming around almost sets them even further backwards, and like how that can
That's exactly what it is.
yeah, and how that can affect them. I find that really enticing.
Yeah.
And I'm so ready for not just a new film that like, especially in the wake of Oppenheimer coming out this year, which is so cool, but like really reassessing like on an international scale, being faced so directly on our part with what the atomic bombing did to Japan and what that meant for the world, but specifically what it meant for their country, putting Godzilla back directly in that context, making us engage with it, and frankly making Godzilla scary again.
Oh yeah.
Keshi Yamazuki, I believe is the director's name. He is using a tweaked version of a Godzilla design he's been using since an old drama film he used.
Yes.
That he also used in the ride that he directed, the Ghidorah.
It's a great design.
It's a great design. I really like it, and I think he really nails it in this movie. They've released promotional images of what this design, the new kind of tweak looks like,
And a figure.
full body,
Images
and
of a figure.
It looks so good,
It does.
and I'm so into it.
Yes, I really like this. There is a confusion about like mistranslation or misunderstanding about the idea that this is connected to Shin Godzilla and set backwards in that continuity. I feel like that has to be misconstrued.
It is. They've clarified.
Good.
They clarified that it was a mistranslation. It is following Shin because it's the next movie that they did after Shin.
Yeah.
Right, sure. Yeah. I prefer something that's like wholly, especially with what they're doing. Like they are restrained by nothing, and can do whatever they want. And I'm fascinated by it. I'm truly like, this has the potential to be something so impactful and powerful for Godzilla.
Godzilla, the Reiwa era of Godzilla. This is what this film is currently in, which is Shin Godzilla and Up. I think there have been such really interesting ideas that they're playing with Godzilla. Toho has really allowed creators to run wild with this character, really do some bizarre things, especially in an anime format like Singular Point and the Earth trilogy, which the Earth trilogy is not great, but I think that last movie is pretty cool. But like Shin and now this, and even with the MonsterVerse, there's so many different interpretations of how people have done Godzilla that are currently going, and it's just so cool and constantly keeps it fresh of like, oh, what am I going to get with this Godzilla? What am I going to get with that Godzilla? I'm really excited by this era.
I am too. It's a nice new fresh start.
Yeah.
So yeah, actually, the fact that this is coming out this year, just a month after its Japanese release, is really exciting, and I'm super excited to see it in theaters.
Less than 5 months away.
I really like. Yeah. I'm so intrigued. I really am. I'm very curious where we're gonna be in the next year. Just as a nation, but maybe as a world, having a conversation about we're gonna talk about the atomic bombs. We're going to talk about them differently after this year, because Oppenheimer, I think, is going to put it back on everybody's mindset, and then you follow it up with Godzilla coming out
100%.
In this context. I think that there's really going to be a little bit of a national reassessment of, hey, we all need to talk about how we committed a war crime.
True.
Yeah. This film, we're very excited that this film is going to have an international release that's not going to be a Fathom event, so this will be readily available in American theaters for a long run.
Thrilled.
Very cool.
Can't wait to be there with you, Brandon.
Love it.
Yeah. Cool. So that's it, guys. That's the show.
That's the end of the trailers.
Loved it. That was
Look
fun.
at that. Still 3 hours long though.
We really went on the strike, but
Yes.
I think that was such a wonderful conversation. I'm not mad about
No,
it.
it was a lovely conversation.
I doubt many episodes will be that long, especially as news begins to dwindle down because of the strikes.
Yes.
But yeah, so next week we will be back with another episode. Of course, we don't know what that's going to be yet because the news hasn't happened yet. So stay tuned for whatever that's going to be. But also stay tuned for our Cinephiles on Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. We will get that out because we're excited to review it. So stay tuned for that.
True.
Also keep an eye out on the book club feed because we'll be coming out with our next rotational book club soon. It'll be the Ultimates Volume 1 from Hickman.
That's my book club. I picked it.
Yes. So
Hey, Jonathan Hickman and Assad Rebic put respect on their names.
So keep an eye out for that because that'll be coming around too. So it's all the usual stuff, just in different ways and at different points in time.
True.
Cool. So that's that's everything, guys. So be sure to make sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel. You can check out, of course, our other shows on this network, such as Conver-Station. It's my audio show where I recently talked to Rachel Strange from the Narrative Labyrinth, and as mentioned up top, my next episode will be with the entire cast of D and Dark, including Carmilla.
Hell yeah.
So stay tuned for that episode coming this week. Of course, you can check out Fake Nerds Watch, which is our other show we do here, which is currently going through Star Trek Strange New Worlds, and we'll come out with at least one more episode of Secret Invasion. So
For sure.
Sure.
stay tuned for what that's going to be. Basement Arcade, plenty more Basement Arcade episodes are coming. That's our video game show. And Basement Arcade Pause Mini, which is our video game discussion series where you guys just did a quarterly.
We did. It's real good. Go check it out.
And thank you, the Fake Nerd Book Club, as Spark said, will be coming back with a vengeance. New format. Animation Station, the Real Score, new episodes coming out there. Miscellaneous, new episodes coming out there. And I will from now on be promoting Cinephiles in this section because even though it does not have its own dedicated audio feed, it will be far more active as we move the movie reviews exclusively on Cinephiles.
Yeah.
Love it.
Grayson says, "Wow, I was able to make it for a bit of it. Thank you so much for the show, and it was great to see you guys. Also looking forward to a possible sequel to D&D episode. Have a great day." Yeah, that'd be cool.
It's more possible now that we change things.
Thank you, Chaos Gaming Theory, for stopping by. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Chaos Gaming Theory. We had a fun chat. We had people in the chat who followed us from Sunday nights, except for Mag. I hope Mag gets to watch this soon. We'll shout you out anyway. You can, of course, check out our Patreon and our TeePublic if you'd like to support us financially. Be a great help. Once again, my TeePublic has my Conver-Station logo as a shirt now. You can find all of the things that I've mentioned up top on our website at fakenerdpodcast.com. Check it out there. Thank you to everyone who listens. Thank you to everyone who watches the live show. And thank you to everyone who watches the rewind. We greatly appreciate all of your support. This wouldn't be possible without you guys.
Sure.
The fact that you're willing to listen to us for so long is incredible. Especially on this new journey. Thank you to Jeremy Vellucci. Jeremy Vellucci is the person who did all the music you heard here tonight, as well as this morning. That's weird. Gonna have to get used to that.
Sure.
And you can also check him out at Jeremy Vellucci, Jeremy Vellucci / Wreck of Time, where he is also the host of the Real Score, and he does this podcast, Suburban Proctologist, on Facebook / Suburban Proctologist Official, or Instagram at SubProc Podcast. He also does the music for all of our other shows.
Right.
Thank you to Mike Matola. Mike Matola, wonderful collaborator of ours, did a couple of our logos, a couple of episodes. You can find him at Mike Matola on Instagram and TikTok, and YouTube. He's uploading his things to YouTube now.
Yeah.
You can find him you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all at Fake Nerd Podcast. FakeNerdGuys@gmail.com. If you'd like to get in touch with us personally, I'm at BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter. I also write for CBR.com, AtomicGeekdom.com, and KaijuRamenMedia.com, where I put up a review of Skull Island Season 1. Ryan, where can people find you?
Oh boy, you could find me enjoying the rest of my Sunday at DJ Tony Snark 616.
Sparks, where can people find you?
You can find me looking forward to getting Brandon into Fortnite tonight at SparksWitty on Instagram and Twitter, SPARKZWitty.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Did promise you. You can find Ben at Ben Magnet on Instagram and Twitter, also writing for Old School Gaming Magazine.
Fusion Gaming Magazine.
Fusion Gaming Magazine, GoNintendo.com, and playing Mary Frankenstein on D and Dark.
You got it.
Wednesday.
You nailed it. Our Ben's a busy boy. We're so proud of him.
Hell yeah.
Yes, he is. Subscribe to us on your podcatcher of choice. New show. I always say where exactly you can find us, but now no. Subscribe to us on your podcatcher of choice. Rate and review on your podcatcher of choice. We greatly appreciate it. Like this video. Subscribe to this channel. Until next time you see us, guys, stay fake nerds.